What time is it?
Tonight, the revolution begins.
I'm expecting a fight, hoping for a war.
We are the Bullet Club.
I am the greatest living professional wrestler alive. One by one, they will all follow me.
Bada boom. Realest guys in a room. How you know?
Feed me more.
We both ventured out and saw what else was out there, but this only made our love stronger. And for the record, I never went all the way with Dolph.
And for the record, I did not go all the way with Summer either.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Ladies and gentlemen, wrestling to the mat.
And your hosts, Gary Vaughn, Sean Garmer, and Paul Leeser.
Hello and welcome to another Wrestling the Max, and this is episode 172.
And we are ready to rock and roll in another week, and I am so excited because we have a ton of stuff to talk about tonight. Not only do we have a bunch of Raw stuff that's not that great to talk about, we have some ratings that we can talk about that hopefully will be more interesting than Raw itself, so people don't panic, don't shut this off. We're going to talk Raw, but it may be a little bit more interesting on the flip side. So we'll be jumping into Raw and the Raw ratings in a special little segment. When the fan council is asked questions by WWE, we want to find out what those questions were asked, so we're going to look at that. Plus, we are going to talk NXT, get into that.
Plus, we're going to take the survey ourselves, Gary.
A little bit. It's too long for us to complete, though, Sean. It is so long it would take us probably an hour alone in that segment, but we are going to take it ourselves. In a way, we're going to take a few questions out of it, and I'm excited about doing that. But we are talking NXT. We're also going to talk a little bit about Breaking Ground because it ties in with NXT and some of the big things going on in there. We're also going to get into some Ring of Honor, TNA Impact. And you guys are going to get to hear us talk a little bit about the tag league going on right now in New Japan. We haven't had a chance to really get into it. We haven't had any specials lately. So we are going to talk about that briefly, kind of give you an update of what's going on there and kind of our opinions and thoughts with that. So a lot of cool stuff to talk about. Plus, you don't want to forget that we always crown a Superstar of the Week. We have an interesting group this week to talk about, and the crowning of who? You'll find out towards the end of the show. But, man, guys, I hope you have had a wonderful week. I have had an okay week. Getting over the Thanksgiving holiday. We finally got past that week, and we're back on our normal schedule. Now it's the holidays, guys. It's Christmas, and there's lots of stuff going to be coming up, and we're going to have a lot of fun. Of course, our schedule is going to get really crazy, I know. But, man, Paul, are you looking forward to this Christmas season? I know there's some fun stuff, but I know you work in a store that I'm sure is going to get really busy during the Christmas season.
Try already busy. There's a reason I didn't do the show last week.
not because you didn't want to, but because my God, you had to sleep sometime.
Yeah, it's insane. We run a holiday sale for a month and a half essentially. So until the year's over, we got buy two get one free going on where I work, and it's absolutely bananas on the weekends, which is mostly when I work, and all that fun stuff. And holidays is also fun. I get to get older. My birthday is on Christmas Day, which I think we've talked about on here before, anyways. But if I haven't, there's that. So getting old's fun too.
Yeah, see, this is how great Paul is. Not only is he has shared the birthday with Jesus, he's, Anyway, I didn't introduce Paul in the correct way, though. That the whole thing, that tie-in was great. But let me introduce Paul in the correct way tonight, okay? So pause with me, Sean. Let's do it right now. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we now bring to you the football, the college pick'em football champion of the fantasy football thing we did on ESPN. So there you go.
That went.
I don't know what to call it. It's a college pick'em thing. We do it on our Football to Football podcast, and Paul was gracious enough to join us this year.
The college pick'em winner for this.
There you go. Whatever they chant, college winner, champion of the world. Paul. But no, I mean seriously, Paul. I mean, I know you mentioned it before, but you legitimately said you just pick them. You don't know anything, which is awesome because you beat us, and you beat us pretty well. I mean, honestly.
Yeah, I think I had like 96% correct, 97, something like that, which is just ridiculous. But fortunately, it's confidence picks, so stuff I wasn't too sure about, I could just throw out the bottom, and it wouldn't be worth anything. And stuff I was confident about, you throw out the top.
Yeah. You know, it seems easy when you hear it, but man, there's a lot of weeks that I fought myself on those confidence points, and so probably why I screwed up a little bit more. I did pretty good early. Fall off in the end. Randy Isabel, who does that podcast with us, he's kind of our college football guy. He followed right behind Paul, so he kind of caught up and did a lot better job. But I just want to congratulate Paul. That's a good job and awesome for a guy that, you know, honestly said, hey, you know, I just picked him. Kind of, there you go. So.
I'm looking forward to finishing at the bottom for the bowl picks, things we're just doing it straight.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see. If you win that,
I had to do it that way because I had too many people complaining that, you know, it's like 40 bowls and like, we can't do confidence picks at 40 bowls. I'm like,
yeah.
All right, whatever.
But and Sean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Paul's also leading in the NFL pick'ems, right?
Yes, he is also leading the NFL, which I'm sure he feels much more confident about. You know.
Yes.
So.
Although I'm already down one because I picked Detroit to win today, and that did not happen.
Well, you got really close. Let me tell you.
Really close. So, oh man, but Sean, I mean, I know you've got a lot of things going on. You're also going to be really busy. I am too. I mean, this holiday season is going to be crazy. But I know with your daughter, at least, I mean, that adds another component to your life because you know how big Christmas is to kids, and so we're leading up to that. We got a few weeks to go, but.
Yeah, I mean, you know, in a week we're about to start where we close an hour later, and that means it's an hour later that we get out of the store, which sucks. And, you know, I mean, it's just one of those things where you kind of just have to deal with it. You're grateful for it right now because, at least for us anyway, like we get a lot more, we don't get more hours, but it's more consistent. And then, you know, when January comes, the hours tend to drop off a bit, so... you know, it's nice right now, but it sucks because you do have to work all that time. So, I mean,
it's gonna be crazy.
Yeah. And I got to be Santa Claus last week.
Yes, I don't know if you, Sean. I mean, I know you probably haven't posted that on the page, but we may have to post that on the page just in case someone's not friends with you on the page, because that was pretty cool to see you on there. And I showed my daughter that picture, and she goes, "Oh ho ho!" It's like, yeah, there you go. I like that, ho ho.
That's what my name is. Ho ho.
New nickname, so. But no, that's awesome. I mean, I've never, you know, played Santa Claus, but it'd probably be fun. So as long as I don't get stuck in a chimney like Gremlins, I want to live.
It's still scary, like having your own kid, and then you see kids like doing it where they get scared and they run from you, and I'm like, I didn't do anything.
Oh man, it is funny. I just told my daughter tonight, hey, you know. You excited about the Christmas presents and toys that Santa's going to bring you? Yeah. Well, he's going to come in the house. No. Said you don't want him? Said you want me to leave him at the front door? Yes. Okay.
Like UPS.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. So, anyway, we're having too much fun, guys. We got to talk wrestling. We got a lot to do. So we just want to let you know we were about to do Quick Hits, but you know, just to let everybody know, Quick Hits is sponsored by Math Tumble, a fun math game that your whole family will enjoy. Not only is it educational, but it is a lot of fun for you just to sit down while you got a few minutes and you're bored somewhere and you're in the line at Walmart and you're bored because you're 15 people deep. This is something you could do in your spare time and get some education out of it. Plus, there's some other great games. Go check out the developer, Lubulu. Lots of other fun games for the whole family. Go check them out. Anyway, well, guys, let's do some wrestling news. Quick Hits.
Hold on. It's much different when I have to have another thing pulled up here. Okay, here we go.
It's time for wrestling news. Quick hits.
There you go.
All right, there you go, guys. All right, well, WWE, they're doing a lot of things, and, they're trying to figure out not only, what roles people are going to play, but also who they're going to take away and add to the roster, and they've got their eye on a few people out there in the wrestling world, and one of them is Jay Lethal. We've talked about that before, but it's not the first time we've ever mentioned that on Quick Hits, and this is not the first time we've ever mentioned this other guy's name, but it's getting more interesting the more they talk about him. That is Nakamura from New Japan. It's kind of interesting because of the fact that, he's got a lot of charisma. He not only has that, but he has the height that WWE likes. And I just think it's interesting that they are really keep, emphatically bringing his name up and kind of mulling around, can we bring him in? I mean, Paul, I know you followed this guy quite a bit. You follow New Japan heavily. I don't know. I mean, do you think that this is going to ever be a possibility for Nakamura to come over here and actually wrestle in WWE?
I'm not going to say it's not going to happen because, I never thought Kenta, of all people, would be wrestling for WWE at some point in his career. But I would say it's unlikely. I don't see it. As much as I think Nakamura would fit, I think the WWE has already... I don't want to say soured or anything like that, but I think they're having trouble trying to get these guys to translate over, and they're still trying to feel out that whole process with Hideo, and that injury obviously didn't help it there any, and they got Asuka now, and I think stick with the two that you have right now and see what happens before we start going for the. I mean, granted, I think Nakamura would be a home run, but there is still that whole thing you got to try to transfer over and that quality.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say the fact that, you just mentioned Kenta. That is interesting as well because he is kind of the opposite of what Nakamura is. He's quiet, he's short, and he's an exciting star. He's a guy that, can definitely add to the roster and showcase, but it just seems like Nakamura is essentially what WWE wants in general from anybody, not just from the, over in Japan, but in America, Mexico, wherever. They want these big, tall guys with personality, and that's everything embodies it. That's what makes me wonder if they will actually press hard to get him.
I don't know. You never know. You really don't know with this kind of stuff. I would say, Lethal, I think, has a much better chance, honestly, but you never know with these sort of situations.
Exactly. And what's going on with Jay Lethal right now, it makes me really curious because, he already lost one belt. There's a possibility he could lose another one. So, and Sean, I got to ask you this because of the fact that, that name has been mentioned quite a bit. WWE's also looked at other talents that they have. I think they're interested in a few other guys that New Japan's got going strong in their company right now. The president of New Japan is concerned, and he should be because he has to basically pay up if he wants to keep some of these guys, especially if the money part is going to be big. Do you think that could ever be a problem from New Japan, or do you think they're going to be able to, compete with WWE when it comes to paying these guys?
Oh, well, they certainly can compete. I mean, if you're talking about somebody that has money, it's certainly New Japan. It's not going to be that they can't compete. It's going to be and somebody like Nakamura is going to be certainly on that list of guys that, well, he deserves 7 figures, certainly, for all that he's done for us, that he stuck around during times when the company wasn't doing that well. If you're talking about some of the younger guys, if WWE comes in and says we want a Tama Tonga, we want a Cody Hall, we want, I don't know, maybe even like, they find Shibata interesting or something like that. Maybe they go, well, we don't want to pay that much money for them, but if for some reason they ever came in for like Okada or Nakamura or for some, Tanahashi or something, and they said, well, no, we got to pay him money. Like, there's obviously it's the same thing with WWE, right? Like, they're not gonna. There's obviously certain people they're not gonna pay all that money to, but New Japan can certainly compete with them if WWE got into some kind of wager war. And that's the thing, though. WWE won't get into a wager war for people like that because they're still signing them for NXT. So, we saw that with the Briscoes, right? They didn't get into a wager war with ROH over them. So, it'd be interesting to see how far they would go with that. And Paul wasn't on last week when we talked about Red Dragon. What do you think about the possibilities there?
I think it's another interesting idea. I don't. Bobby Fish is older than Kyle O'Reilly by quite a bit, and they're both terrific talents. I just don't think they have that quality, that superstar quality that WWE looks for. Personally, like their promos are really flat. They're good. They're flat. There's not a lot to them. But in the ring, it's a whole different story. Obviously, they have it there. I don't know if they have that other side of the coin that WWE counts on.
As much as I like Kyle O'Reilly, I agree. It just promo-wise is not there, and of course, look-wise, he's kind of generic. Mm-hmm. So he has, nothing special. He'd have to really do something to gimmick himself up to really make WWE say, hey, this guy's going to be a star. In the ring, oh, yeah, excellent. One of the better wrestlers of this past year. But, besides that, I mean, WWE is going to have to find a way, if they were ever to get him on there, to spice him up some.
Well, I mean, if you're only using them for NXT, then it doesn't matter, right? Because that's
true.
That's what they're looking at, is they want to be able to have them on a takeover and say, hey, we have Red Dragon, and that you could sell a takeover with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's very true.
And that's the difference between Jay Lethal and Nakamura. I think Jay Lethal's a total NXT-only guy, whereas Nakamura, I think they said that he would be one of those that he said for sure they're looking for him to go to the main roster. So, that's the difference there, too.
Yeah, I just kind of agree with Paul on the fact that let's get over the Japanese stars we have now. Because, once again, I mean, there is some wonder of, how is the American public that, and of course worldwide as well, but I mean, really WWE is based in America. How are they going to, get these guys over? Are they going to? Are they going to be chanting for them, or are they just going to be like, oh, okay, whatever, they're gimmicks, but whatever,
I mean, but the thing is, like with Nakamura, is they'd have to let him do almost everything he already does now, and we already know how Vince is about. The thing, like Nakamura could actually adapt to maybe a goofy gimmick if Vince gave it to him, but you still have the issue of he really can't cut a promo in English.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to hide that, and you also have to make him look strong while you're hiding that fact too, and not make him look stupid in the process. And that's an issue that Vince has always had, with these foreign stars. I mean, how many foreign stars that come in and other than Del Rio, they don't have some dumb gimmick, Like, they keep talking, like, I'm scared for La Sombra to have some, the Mexicools 2.0 or something going on, It's not going to lie there.
Yeah, I can totally see that. There's somebody else that we need to talk about when it comes to New Japan, and trust me, it's not about going to WWE, but it involves a sad situation. And I just had to bring it up because we were already on this subject. But, Honma is a guy that I know you, Sean, you're a big fan of. And there's been a lot of things come out recently about domestic violence and about the fact that he's, involved in that. And he's causing some issues going on in his personal life. And, this is sad. We talk about it all the time on our sports show. We've had to do it here on the wrestling show. And it's just a bummer because these guys are people not that necessarily look up to, but people that you enjoy, you root for, you want them to be successful, and then when these kind of things come out, you're just like, wow, it's not the same person. My feelings are different. But Sean, kind of give me your ideas about this situation. I mean, you know a little bit more about it than I do. You've kind of followed this.
I mean, it sucks. Like, it's just one of these things where obviously the culture is different. That's one of the things we have to understand. Like, the people were just like, why would someone bow in forgiveness, and especially like the mother be there and all this stuff. It's like, it's a totally different culture. Like, that's one of those things where, they're together, been together for 18 years. Apparently this has been going on for 4 of them. And it's like, she legitimately, and many people do that just in America here. Like, how many women go through this and they go, oh, but man, I have a kid with him. I can't just leave him like that. He's a good provider. I'm going to have nothing if I walk away. Like, just all these other things that you go through, right? Like, I mean, and we don't know what her situation is personally, but it's just with Honma, it's just like that's not the kind of guy you think he is, right? You think of when you think of Honma, you're thinking that he is that character that you see on TV, right, or on the shows, and it's disheartening when it seems like perhaps he's not that way. Like, just hearing the whole, he kicked her in the face when she knelt down and like yelled at the mom that she apparently raised her the wrong way, and it's like stuff that's like inconceivable to us here, but to them that's maybe not necessarily totally insulting. It's just it's sad because there's other parts of the culture where there's a bad thing going on with, like, you can't even go to public transportation where women aren't being groped and bad things happening that way, and it's just, it sucks. It sucks because Honma's one of my favorite guys to watch, and Paul, I'm sure, feels the same way, and it's like you think differently of him now. I mean, at least for me, it's hard to separate the wrestler and the person, especially when he's doing it while he's actively wrestling. Like, I don't know if the thing with Stone Cold Endeavor the deal with Stone Cold Endeavor is, people brought this up a lot, and I was like, well, I didn't hear about that until way after. I didn't hear about that when it first happened. So, like, when it happened for me, like that, when I found out about that, he was already retired, and I didn't even think about it, Plus, apparently, Deborah wasn't not saying that I condone that at all, just saying that apparently Deborah wasn't, the best wife either. So, just, I don't really know what to think about it. It's just kind of shocking,
Yeah. And Paul, I mean, you've had to, read this information probably and kind of take this in, but I mean, it is a sucky situation, especially for a talent like him. But how do you think this is going to affect his relationship with New Japan, or will it at all?
The thing that I see that mostly affects wrestlers in Japan is usually if they get tied to crimes where they're arrested. I can think of an occasion a couple years ago where a wrestler by the name of Nosawa was apparently involved with the Yakuza, and he ended up getting booted out of the promotion he was in and all this other stuff. So I don't know if this is going to affect his push or not, because like Sean said, this is a different culture we're talking about. And while that doesn't make what he's doing right at all, the way they view it could very well be different. And not being around that culture that much or knowing an insanely deep amount of information about the culture obviously doesn't help in us trying to make sense of how they're going to treat him in New Japan now. But, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this affects his booking some, but I don't know if this is going to lead to him being ousted or anything like that. He's insanely popular right now. So I guess
by all accounts, it looks like he was supposed to, if not win it, come very close. So the tag league, I mean, I don't know how that's going to affect it. That's still a very, very male dominated world over there, and to me, like, I can't see where all of a sudden you have this big influence of people. It would have to start affecting, like, people outright saying, I'm not going to go watch the show, like, go to the actual event and stuff like that for them to, there would have to be some kind of public outcry, I think, for it to really affect him not being there. I mean, apparently it all started over him, like, thinking he's a ladies' man because some other girl that he might have been cheating on her with, and as sometimes marital spats do, cheating is an issue, and apparently she'd been into depression because of this, and he kept saying that it was a bunch of crap because anybody can get a doctor's note, and then he would hit her and stuff, and then he'd call the police and start crying, and it's really weird. Like this whole weird situation, like Gary, I don't know, but it's heartening because it's you
It's
don't
tough.
want to think about somebody like that.
Definitely, and like I said, sometimes we kind of put some of these people on pedestals. Not saying that we are bowing down and think they're just so great, but we enjoy them. We root for them. We get excited about what they're doing, their successes. We kind of feel bad when they fail, things like that. And so when stuff like this comes out, it just changes your perspective, and your respect level kind of goes way down for people who do these kind of things, and you just kind of get disenchanted. So, I mean, we've seen this before, and hopefully this situation gets cleaned up. We don't want to see this kind of stuff, and I hope for his sake that he changes what he's doing and maybe fixes what is wrong in his life, becomes a better person. So let's talk about something good, though. I'm kind of talking about depressing and terrible things. Let's talk about the WWE Network. Now, how many people have heard complaints about the fact that WWE's old school library sucks? Well, it's about to get a lot better, people, because they have just added a lot of things in a few federations you may enjoy watching. They added Stampede Wrestling. They also added the Global Wrestling Federation, AWA, Mid-South, Smoky Mountain, and NWA. So, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but this is good news because, I listen to a lot of podcasts, especially Jim Ross and even Jericho and, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and they talk a lot about these federations. I listen to some other podcasts that talk about old school wrestlers, and I want to see more of this. And now I'm going to have the opportunity to, because it's going to be on the WWE Network, and, I could get on YouTube very easy, but I'm lazy. So if Network has it right there, I'm like, hey, I might click on that. I don't get on YouTube unless I'm looking up stuff for this show. So needless to say, I think it's exciting, Paul. I don't know if you're excited about it, but I'm kind of excited about seeing, especially Stampede Wrestling. I really haven't watched Stampede.
Absolutely. As somebody who used to try to seek out a lot of older stuff a while ago, this is great for anybody who's actually just remotely interested in it. AWA, I used to watch the reruns on ESPN Classic here. I haven't seen a lot of GWF. Really, I want to see some of the Memphis stuff, especially from when they were development territory for WWE in the 90s. There's got to be some gems in there. We're like, holy crap, this guy did that. Well, that's kind of neat. Mm-hmm. There's all like the tape library that WWE has is just redonk, and if this is them starting to take advantage of that, this is a good sign for everything, because they could probably have over 10,000 hours of content up by the end of the year, or the end of next year, if they really commit to this, and that's just insane to think about.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, this is really cool. Like, I'm still waiting for them to add some more world-class stuff or whatever, but this is cool that we're finally getting, and somebody finally said something and goes, hey, we have all this library where it's just sitting around. Like, let's put it out there a couple of shows at a time. Let's see if it gets views. And if it gets views, then the thing is, that stuff you have to look for. They're not really promoting the network anymore on television, honestly, unless it's something like we have a whole week of things going on. And I still think that with all the time that they have on television, to find a way to promote some of this old stuff and whatever when you're watching Raw or watching SmackDown is still a good idea. But, hey, it's there for you if you want it. And I think that's really awesome that it's there, because they keep adding other things. And that's what I really appreciate about it, is that this is what we kept saying, right? It needing to make money in order to be able to do all this stuff, to make new shows, to do all these things. And now it's making money, and they're able to just be like, okay, well, we're going to give you more stuff because you earned it for supporting us or whatever.
Yeah. I totally agree. And, we're already getting good stuff when it comes to the current product. We're getting Breaking Ground, Table for Three, different things that we enjoy watching, original stuff.
I mean,
and now
as stupid as that, right? So.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it's going to be really fun, and I'm looking forward to checking these shows out. I really, really am, because, like I said, I've never watched Stampede Wrestling. I've seen a little of the AWA. I get to get a chance more into that, Smoky Mountain, stuff like that. And maybe we get to see a young Chris Jericho. And guys like that, guys that we've followed for a while, just never jumped into their earlier career. So that's exciting to me. Since we're talking about the past, let's talk about somebody from WWE's past. Armando Alejandro Estrada. That's right. I haven't heard that in a long time, have you guys? Well, he has actually come out.
I hear that now.
I know.
He was awesome, seriously.
I didn't have a problem with him. I did enjoy him as well. So, but the one thing is that he has an opinion like everybody else in the world of wrestling, and he has his opinion about Monday Night Raw. And his thoughts on Raw is that it's not as bad as people are saying it is. He says that people are misinterpreting it, and they are just going against it because they just don't think that they are giving it what they want. But he basically says some interesting things, and I'll just kind of sum it up this way. And he used The Walking Dead as a reference because it's one of the most popular shows on television right now. And he says, how would it be if The Walking Dead was 3 hours? What would you do if they had to have Fear the Walking Dead teamed up with Walking Dead, and you have a long period of time to watch these shows all in one packed time slot? So he used that, and he kind of mentioned a few other things that, are in this article, or basically what he, said. So I just got to know, though, I mean, how do you think about this, Sean? Do you agree with him that, maybe they're misinterpreting it, and maybe people are not looking at Raw the right way?
No, because you can't compare the two. It's a 1 hour show built upon a certain number of episodes, and they get to outline that entire show before it even starts, and then it's taped and it's over. It's not live like a sporting event. It's like a movie but shot in 13 different sequences. It's not the comparison he's making is valid in that WWE is a show. It's an episodic thing that happens every week. Yeah, if Walking Dead was around for 3 hours and then they had Fear the Walking Dead on for 2 hours on Thursdays and they had to do it every week, would it suck eventually? Yeah, it would suck. Because nothing's ever going to be that good. But, I don't know. I think his comparison's weird.
I agree, and I totally see where you're coming from, because WWE really looks at, the entertainment side, but they also have it in the sports side as well, because they wouldn't be, teaming up with ESPN if they didn't want the sports side of it. They'd be, strictly going with TMZ and other entertainment sources. But I just got to ask you, Paul, because the Walking Dead reference is interesting. And not only that, you know comic books and you deal with them on a regular daily basis. This is interesting to me because I think where he's kind of going off here is he doesn't reference is Walking Dead, the TV show, only lasts so long. October to December. They take a 2-month break, really, until they get back into it. Then they get the summer off. You don't do that in WWE. WWE's all year long. They don't stop. Same with the comic book. I mean, comic books continuously come out, but they also have, I think, breaks. Maybe they don't. But not only that, people can put the comic book down and still stick with it. What do you think?
Most commonly with a comic book, you get an issue a month, too. Not always the case, but most commonly. But I think he has a very solid point. The comparison might be off. TV shows, you only have one episode a week for an hour to 30 minutes to whatever, and it's only on for so many weeks a year. That does keep the people wanting more, though. Like, WWE has Raw, they have SmackDown, they have all this other stuff plastered all over television, and there's no break. They're running 5-6 hours programming a week. I mean, that is ridiculous. And especially with how much, the presence they have on social media and the network and all, if you're watching current, just modern stuff all the time, it's going to get tiring. And admitted, I mean, there's no excuse, obviously, for what we get on Raw, but I think there is something to it. Maybe they are overexposed. I certainly bring up this point often. I mean, I don't know why SmackDown's still a show other than money. That's got to be the only reason they keep it around. Because
to me, it's about consistency, though. They're not even consistent, and that's the thing. Like, at least most TV shows are consistent. Like, okay, if we want to relate it to something related to a soap opera, like General Hospital or whatever that's on,
right,
like that. I mean,
that's
they have
still
to think of,
Yeah, I mean, it's an hour a day, an hour a day. Granted, soap operas aren't nearly as what they were way back when, but
right.
I that is still a solid point there too. It's just, I don't know. It feels like there is a point to be had here, though. Like I will completely agree and say the WWE is overexposed right now, and it may just be because a lot of the talent, maybe isn't still trying to, because they have a lot of new people. They're still trying to find their way. They're in a situation right now that is less than enviable, with all their top stars sort of on the shelf, and people they hung their hat on for the last 6 months aren't around right now. So, it's a rough time.
Definitely, and I like what you just brought up. The biggest stars that they have right now are not around there, and if you did watch Walking Dead, even if it was 2 or 3 hours, it would be so hard to watch without Rick, without Daryl Dixon.
It's like the football teams that we watch all the time. When they're when their big stars aren't playing, they usually play pretty terribly, right? So, or they at least do well enough to maybe stay in the game, but they're not going to win. That's kind of what they're doing right now. They're kind of just figuring out things as they go because they're having to do with what they have.
Yeah.
And a lot of it also comes down to they don't plan for this stuff. Whereas these, other than your quarterback, other than, say, a John Cena needing to go to practice or go do his little show or whatever, the other guys get practice. The other guys get time with some of the first team people, and they get put in situations where, okay, you might have to be the left tackle for this week, for the whole game. The wrestlers you don't ever plan for, well, what if this guy goes down? Who's the next guy up? They don't ever do that because Vince doesn't think like that anymore. He doesn't try to get everybody over. He tries to get one guy over, and then when one guy gets over, that's it. Like, my work is done now. Everybody else, you just jog in place. That's not how that works. That's my issue with it. It's not consistent. There's not work to try to get everybody to where we're all fighting for something. It just feels like you've got Roman Reigns and then a bunch of people don't matter. And why is that? You should want to make compelling television with every single storyline that you have. And that's the point, right? Like, every relationship in a show, for the most part, should matter. So why is it different on this televised show that's also a pseudo sport?
Yeah, I totally understand where you're coming from, and it makes me wonder if they really do think of it that way and how they're gonna handle this in the future. Because once you don't have those stars that you're talking about, once they're gone, you've got to have that new crop ready, and they can't just be backups. They've got to be full-time starters. Vince really needs to go in there and goes, who's going to be my next Brock Osweiler? Come on, who's going to be?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly think, the question that Larry asked in Fact or Fiction this week, I wasn't on it, but I read through it. I really think Orton might be done as a full-time guy. He gets injured a lot.
I'd be good with that.
So that's one guy that you're bringing in all the time that brings in people, that brings in ticket sales, that brings in merchandise sales. That's not around all the time now. Again, you have to have somebody to fill in that void. Who's that going to be?
Exactly. So it's definitely something that we've talked about in the past, but I mean they've got to build towards the future, and they're doing it to an extent, but not enough. I mean, we keep seeing the brass ring potentially being grabbed, but they don't like it to stay in anybody's hands. So It's like, it's kind of like a pinata, right? You think you got it, but you don't, so. But anyway, guys, I mean, we've got to jump into some rapid hits real quick. So just, let's go ahead and do that so we can get through the quick hits pretty quickly here. All right, let's start with this. Mex America may be broken up because Zeb Coulter and Alberto Del Rio may no longer be put together in storyline. Thoughts?
Thank God.
Yeah, I nailed it.
WrestleMania 32 may be seeing Brock Lesnar face off against Kevin Owens.
I don't know how we're going to get there at this point, but I guess anyway is a good way because that sounds very interesting match-wise.
Mouth salivating. There.
Well,
that's my answer.
Okay, that's good. I mean, hey. Well, WWE, they have hired a couple people that you may know from a certain family. It's the Foley family. Dewey Foley is going to be an assistant writer and creative and helping them out. And apparently Noel may be a backstage interviewer.
Interesting on both counts. I mean, Noel already does a lot of stuff just based around wrestling. She has some social media platforms that she's on and stuff like that. So I know she wants to wrestle, so there could be more incoming there for NXT. And then, I mean, Dewey, obviously, he was famous before he was even 5 with the Kane Dewey promo. So, I mean, kind of cool.
I mean, I think that's cool. I'm glad that they're getting opportunities. We talk about you do need fresh blood, a fresh mind in that writer's room. Whether he really gets to say or not because he's new is something we need to. We'll never know really, but who knows? I mean, I think it's interesting that they're getting opportunities there.
Solomon Crow is going to be going off, and of course we know he's released from WWE, but he's going to be going back to the indie circuit, and he wants to get better and be stronger and become more of a technical wrestler than ever before. What do you guys think about that?
Really neat idea. He's already gone out and returned at AIW, and he's also become the 2CW champion out in New York already. And I think he's been free of the job for a week, so I'd call that one heck of a splash on the indie so far.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty cool. He's also going to be part of that 4-way for Pro Wrestling Syndicate with Kenny Omega being involved in that too. Man, that's a lot already in a week, like Paul said. And hey, credit to him, right? For sitting there and saying, I want to be better at this. How many guys do that?
Well, Brad Maddox was released as well, but now he's going to be called Mad Braddox. Is he a cocky prick?
I mean, Mini Bish written all over it here.
I had to bring that up. I'm sorry. I love that. He's going to have that T-shirt out, cocky prick.
I'm just waiting for him to join that classic wrestling revolution or whatever.
Yeah.
Or your next TNA champion, Brad Maddox. I'm sorry, man.
Oh, jeez. I love him. I would actually be excited about that, to be honest with you. I love Mini Bish. Paul wasn't on this last week, so I've just got to briefly ask this real quick. Paul, I mean, do you think this is a missed opportunity for WWE just because, I mean, he said that word that Vince didn't like.
I did say that it could be on purpose, so.
Yeah, it could be because they weren't using him. But anyway, I mean, besides that, do you think it's a missed opportunity?
Absolutely. I will cry tears until I die that I never got to see Beef Mode come to the light of day. Yep. Just a sad day everywhere.
I don't blame him if he wants to go do comedy shows instead of sit there and try to get Vince to let him in some way or another.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, we'll have to see. But, I mean, I just love that name, Mad Braddox. It's cool. Sorry. And one last thing, guys. Or actually, we got two. But one thing that's kind of interesting is Melina was let go by Lucha Underground because guess what? WWE has already done the thing with her and, Johnny Nitro. What do you think about that?
I think it's interesting, and I look forward to how Lucha Underground is going to spin the story out of this.
You know what? I give them credit for not wanting to repeat things. I think they want to get any stench of we've seen this before away from them at all. And I appreciate that because, as we've seen with other promotions, TNA, they would have jumped at the chance to have both of them together and been like, hey, we've got those two again. Awesome. That would have been the headline.
I think that they just, they would love him in TNA, but I think Lucha Underground's got a little bit more head on their shoulders, and they realize that, Melina is kind of a ticking time bomb. At any point, there could be a fuse lit, and, John Morrison's one of their biggest stars. They can't have that happening. So they kept the peace early. Let's say it that way. Destination America apparently got rid of, TNA. Pretty soon here they will. And, of course, Ring of Honor has already left. But that is because they want to become all paranormal all the time, 7 days a week, guys. I mean, this is interesting. I don't know. What's your personal opinions?
I read this article and I couldn't believe my eyes because there's no world where that channel sounds interesting to a lot of people at all.
What are they, the ID channel, the paranormal now? You'll watch them and you'll know all about exorcisms by the time you watch a whole day's worth. Man.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just couldn't handle it. All those Bigfoot shows and UFOs and ghosts, and I love all that, but I'm sorry. That's too much. So, anyway, well, that's quick hits for you guys. A lot of cool information there at your fingertips. But now we are going to move on, and we have to talk about Monday Night Raw. So we're going to come back, and don't forget, after Monday Night Raw, we're going to kind of jump into some ratings and a fan council little and a bit of information on what WB asked them.
Sorry.
WWE Monday Night Raw.
Wow, that was some loud thunder just outside my window there. But anyway, Raw was live from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the home of Kurt Angle and also the home of the Steelers, who lost last week, in which many of them were there at that Raw. Even though I'm pretty sure the reason we didn't see Big Ben, who usually is there, is because he was a little loopy. So
yeah, Raw made his head hurt.
Yeah. Poor guy.
Raw made a lot of people's head hurt.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was gonna say. Well, but hey, at least they didn't make our head hurt at the beginning, because we got New Day. I don't know that I'll ever complain about New Day, but we got a lot of New Day on this episode. And hey, the ratings went up, so maybe they'll just attribute it to New Day, and we can all be happy about that. But let's go ahead and start there. There's a storyline basically going through this, which is more of Sheamus versus Roman Reigns. New Day do their heel stuff, where they're basically, pawning to doing their thing for the champion, woohoo, and then basically we get told that we're gonna have a thing here with Roman has to beat Sheamus under 5:15 in order to win the title, or he loses his shot at TLC, and eventually became, Dean Ambrose loses his shot at TLC, and then, the Usos also lose their shot at TLC, and we did get Reigns just kind of coming out of nowhere, give Superman punch to Sheamus, and, later on, I mean, what did you guys think about this whole storyline going through? At least there was a consistent storyline going through the show, and they kind of involved some of the other talent. But my issue is, why are we building to a 4-on-4 match when Survivor Series already happened? Does that make any sense to anyone?
Survivor Series was so bad that they're still hung up on the idea of trying to make it good. Maybe that's why. That's all I got.
We never actually got Paul's rating. What did you actually give Survivor Series?
I think a Bret Hart special, 4 or 5, something like that. Like, I fast forwarded through half the show. It bored me to tears.
Uh, that's pretty bad. I'm sorry, but Paul is fast forwarding to your. Yeah, it's bad.
It's
No,
a
I
bad
mean,
day.
yeah, definitely. It seems like more than one too. But I don't even know where to start with this, Sean, because I have a lot of opinions about this storyline in general. I think that the initial thought process and the way they had it set up was no problem. I actually enjoyed it. The 515 thing, I thought it was kind of cool. Everybody was going to pay for Roman Reigns, be in the position he was, blah, blah, blah. To me, it was cool. I liked the everything mixing in like that. The one thing that I will have to say, though, is I just don't agree with what you're saying. Not what you're saying, but which they're putting into place the Survivor Series, situation with the 4-on-4. It does make no sense. Exactly of everything you said, Sean. If Survivor Series is over, that's done. It's TLC time. Let's do something in that vein. We don't need this kind of thing go on. If you want to make a certain, heel group, do it later. Or if you're going to do it, don't have it involve.
I don't have a problem with the heel group at all, because this is kind of what they're trying to do to make Sheamus a heel that you hate and not a heel that you laugh at, and that's fine. But it also kind of helps get some of these guys, especially like a Barrett and Del Rio, that are kind of doing nothing, something to do. So, Rusev's great, period. He doesn't need it, but yeah.
I agree. I agree with that point, and I'm okay with the group itself. But I don't like the 4-on-4 thing. I just wish that they were picking on Roman Reigns and he had to overcome each one, not all at once. I wish that was the way that this whole thing worked out. I think he'd be better off by that. But I don't know. That's just
not to mention, you're also doing it with the Dudleys and Wyatts, with multiple people against multiple people, and it's like, so we went from one 4-on-2 matchup to another 4-on-2 matchup. Like, is the Wyatt family going to have a point, or are we just moving from team to team here? Like, I'm confused on that too. But a lot of this show was confusing, honestly. That was the point. It was the problem with this show. But
it was, and I do want to answer that question because, see, I think, okay, if you want to do the main storyline that way, whatever. I'm not a fan, whatever. The Wyatt family thing, I just think that they are jerking them around. I need to see the Wyatt family be like DX was at one time, and they were together sometimes, but remember how many times they just had their own tag team set up, and they even had guys do singles careers as DX? I remember that. They did not have to always
Harper and Rowan were going for the tag titles by themselves.
Yeah. And why not have Bray Wyatt be his own guy, do his own thing? Sure, they could be out there, whatever, but not all the time. Maybe Bray Wyatt just shows up. He's Bray Wyatt. He is in a group, but they don't always have to be there and involved. I don't know. I just think that's lost.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot working against the Wyatt family now, because has there been a time that they've won a feud? Because I can't think of one.
No.
I can't think of one the whole time they've been on the main roster. So I guess 4 people as broken up as these guys are together is the only way that they're somewhat interesting, but I don't know. As far as the main event goes, I think they have a long way to get. They have to make Sheamus interesting in a hurry. And it's kind of working. Like his stuff with the New Day at the opening was fine.
That was funny.
They need more. They got to do some work. You got to make Sheamus be hated fast. And I don't know if there's a lot of faces around who you could do that with.
Right, and then I do appreciate that they're trying to, they understand where the New Day's at. They understand that people like them, but you also want to try to keep them heel as much as you can. So I appreciate that they kind of walk that line with them, where they're obviously heels, but they let them play around and do face things too, like the commercial, that was awesome. I could watch that commercial on loop. I mean, like, that was great. I missed it when they did those WWE Shout commercials for a while. Those were like some of the best things on Raw. But honestly, just I can't complain about having a lot of New Day, but doesn't that say something when a tag team is the thing that you throw out there a lot because you don't have anything else that's really that over?
Oof. I mean, yeah, I mean, it does say something about New Day and, the popularity and all that. And, at least they're getting over with the crowd, even though they are heels. I just, man, I just worry. I'm okay with New Day. I love New Day. They're wonderful. But I just worry that people are going to get sick of them because of, the whole Seth Rollins kind of push that they're getting here. And, hey, we're in every other segment. We're always there. Hey, look, we're in the main event now. We opened the show, but now we're going to be in the main event. And really, there's
you are so right, Gary. It's basically like they replaced Seth Rollins.
Yeah, and there's no purpose in them being in the main event. That pissed me off more than anything. I get it. Yes, it's okay. Roman Reigns has more people to face, but come on, really? It's so out of place. It no sense at all. That's my problem.
What do you think, Paul?
I mean, it says a lot about where the product is right now, and sort of like what we were talking about very quick. It's like the sea is been fished. Like they aren't biting, and there's not a lot happening right now because everybody's either hurt or people have been too damaged, or you're sort of just floundering with them.
Kevin Owens was sick during this show.
Yeah, so I mean, you couldn't use any of the time to build Kevin Owens and Dean some more, which sucks because that's a very interesting matchup. The feuds you do have going, I don't think a lot of people are still invested in because for some reason Tyler Breeze and Dolph Ziggler still happen on this show. So I don't know what you do, and I don't think WWE knows what to do. I think they're just trying to find something to stick with until they get some help back.
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, everybody would disagree with this, and maybe not you guys, but I think, of course, WWE officials and a lot of other people, but I think a healthy Cesaro would be a great face. I just think if they allowed it to happen, he could be one of the few people that I would be like miserable if I watched, the Wyatt family or even, this new League of, what do they call themselves? League of European League, whatever.
Nations.
League of Nations. There you go. If they were destroying him and just hurting him, and you thought that he broke his arm, it would suck. It'd be like, dang it, this guy's awesome. Why are you taking him out? Other than that, who else in the roster do I really care about? I mean, I really don't. I mean, even Dolph Ziggler's taken such a back seat that I don't think it would matter. So, I think Paul hit it on the head when he said, the faces are so weak. There's nobody that's a real face right now that people care about, and that's the biggest problem we have.
Yeah. I mean, at least they had the heels actually beat up Roman Reigns this week and actually stand tall, unlike last week where you had an opportunity to make them stand tall, and then Reigns just comes out with a chair and hits them all. It's like, okay, why do we have a whole bunch of people and then Reigns beats them all in one thing? It's just dumb. But this is WWE. We've learned to expect dumb. It's just the whole Tyler Breeze and Dolph Ziggler thing has no meaning now. It's just a bunch of dumb. Like Tyler Breeze and Dolph Ziggler is like the epitome of WWE's problem. Nobody gets over. Nobody does anything. There's a giant hole and everybody's in it. It's like, why do you want to watch that? Isn't that boring? Like, I'm all for watching great matches, but if I feel like nobody's going anywhere, what is the point, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Sean. And I look at that match and I say to myself, I want Dolph Ziggler to win. Oh, wait a minute. But I want Tyler Breeze to win because I'm kind of getting tired of these NXT guys coming up and losing. Yeah, so I mean.
And what sucks is this feud stopped having meaning after like the second week. Mm-hmm. They stopped caring about giving it a narrative.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, okay, Summer Rae's going out there because it was supposed to be about Summer Rae and Ziggler having a thing, and now Summer Rae's trying to get back at Ziggler or whatever, and brought in Tyler Breeze, and then it's like, okay, where Tyler won, then he lost, then he won again, then it's like, you don't even know how Summer Rae feels about all this or anything. It's just like, oh, okay, whatever. They're just there.
And you're right completely. Just a quick question. No one's ever brought up the fact that it's kind of interesting that Tyler Breeze considers himself, and of course Summer Rae, the most beautiful people. I often wonder why he's not borrowing Adam Rose's glasses to really look at and see who's beautiful in that group, you know? So, I'm alluding to Summer Rae. I mean, I don't know. I think he needs to wear some glasses at times, but anyway.
He does look like, he has to squint a lot,
Yeah.
So maybe he's really not seeing what's happening there. I mean, I was like, do you ever notice it looks like he's like, huh? Like just the way his face looks, like his eyes look like they're not even.
Is it
like
the
looking
zoom
at?
in?
Yeah,
Maybe he's just dumbfounded at how different the main roster is from NXT.
Yeah.
He's just so into himself that it doesn't matter.
You gotta love that.
He could have Luda Vachon next to him. It wouldn't matter because he makes everything gorgeous. So, then we just this. Does anybody understand why we had to address the whole thing with Lana and Rusev? Like, is this gonna go anywhere?
I doubt it. I got zero faith in the E right now, so no, it's probably not gonna go.
And Lana already admitted that in the WWE.com interview that she's learning how to speak American, so she's gonna just be CJ Perry pretty soon. Like, I don't know. And we heard sometimes Rusev dropping the accent too, so wouldn't be surprised at one point if all of a sudden Rusev's not from Bulgaria anymore.
How's that gimmick going to work? I mean, they're going to go take some extreme American classes, the American language classes, and they're going to have to speak American. I don't know. I guess Americans have a certain way of speaking, but I don't know. I'm trying to think how that's going to work and who's going to teach them. I mean, they're going to have the Brooklyn Brawler teaching them how to speak, American.
I would pay for that, actually.
I'm not gonna lie. I would get behind a series of backstage segments where it's them preparing for a citizenship test for the U.S. I would totally get behind that.
Oh, hey, too. That'd be great. Cause
that's Zeb Coulter's new job.
Yes, yes.
Now you listen here. You're going to become an American citizen like my grandpappy.
Oh man, I can still see that. That's great, actually.
We should actually send that in. I think that would be perfect. So, but no, you guys, that's kind of crazy. This whole thing to me, I could
at least Ryback had the great line that apparently nobody knew was coming with the whole, "I knew you went all the way with whoever."
Yeah, apparently you're right. They didn't know that was going to be said, but I don't know. I mean, I can imagine WWE's not happy with them in general, so I don't see a lot of great things going their way. But it seems to me like they're explicitly happy with what they did because they got what they wanted, right? They didn't have to go in the other direction, where WWE wanted them to go in this direction where they separate. So,
yeah. I mean, hey, we did get to see Tommy Dreamer, so.
Yeah. Sean, I mean, when they said that they had friends, I mean, let's be honest, did you think the Spike was going to... Because I really did.
No,
I mean,
I've already said this a million times. I don't want to see Spike.
I know you don't want to see him, but I mean, I've heard other podcasts say that too. We thought Spike... I really did. That was the first thought. I was like, really? I thought we just talked about this in the podcast, that he's not wrestling anymore. So when Tommy Dreamer came out, it made sense, ECW and all that. But to me, what didn't make sense is why it was only three of them. They should have had a fourth person. And for me, I mean, thinking about it...
technically, Wyatt didn't wrestle, right? So
no, he didn't. But I still think that they should have had the fourth person. I think the RVD should have been the fourth person.
He could still show up, I guess. They could bring Sandman out of the whatever place he's in. I don't know.
I got nothing there on that one.
I mean, speaking of having nothing, Oh my God! Thank God Del Rio got put in that League of Nations, because Jesus, I don't know where he's going. I'll be so glad when this Mex America crap is over. Just he looks like he's just, one of those people that's like there but not there. You look in their eyes and they're like, "Is that you?" You know?
Yeah, a shell of himself, really. I mean, compared to what we saw at Lucha Underground, compared to what we saw at AAA, he's just not who we know, and that is a confident wrestler. Speaks and just portrays himself in this great manner. Here, it's just like I don't know. It's almost like someone cloned him and put him in this place, and he doesn't know who he is. He's just there to do something.
I mean, I completely agree, because there's no joy in anything he's doing now. It's sort of, here I am, once again, same old thing, bada, 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 done.
And I gotta be a heel, so I have, like, no emotion. It's just, yeah.
It's bad. It's bad. And there's no excuse for it. It's just bad.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. Totally.
At least the one good thing they have in here is the tag team division. I'll give them credit. They're at least recognizing that they don't have a lot of teams, so why not just put in the 3 teams that you got, make it a ladder match at TLC, and let them go out there and have an awesome match, right? And then you have the New Day being New Day and being heels, and that's what makes this storyline great, I think.
I agree with you completely there. TLC right now on paper looks insanely cool. Sheamus and Roman Reigns might not have a lot going for them heat-wise in a feud, but them in a TLC match probably going to be pretty good. 3-way ladder match for the tag titles with Lucha Dragons, New Day, and the Usos. Crazy stuff's going to happen there. You know that. And then, Dean and Kevin, there's a technical masterpiece waiting to happen there if they get time.
Well, that might get made into some kind of hardcore match or something, but... no, you have the tables match with the Dudleys. I don't know what's going to be the chairs match. Maybe that match. I guess. But, even then, if you just give them an excuse to use weapons, Ambrose is crazy, and we've seen Owens do his fair share of things, so that's going to be awesome.
Who's getting the stairs match? The Divas?
Oh, they better not bring back the stairs. Last year, that was so stupid.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
Even though I do think the Divas deserve some kind of a stipulation, honestly. That feud's been going on. Why not? It's supposed to be heated, right?
Mm-hmm.
They deserve some kind of feud. Or some kind of stipulation for their match. Speaking of, I think that's the last thing we haven't talked about is the Divas, and I honestly, I think I like the way so far we've done this show pretty much in unity, just like they did on Raw, and I like the fact that they're kind of trying to get something over with them. Credit to them, right? It's just kind of like New Day. They're just going out there and doing stuff and see what happens. And I think they're doing right with Sasha right now. They're kind of having her do a in-between, sort of, and letting the other two be the ones that cause distractions and stuff like that. I don't know, but Charlotte and Becky was ruined by Paige, so, even though it didn't have a storyline thing to it, I do think that was something we would have never seen. Like, oh, those two are buddies. Let's not try to make some stupid fight happen between them so they can have a match. They want to have a match, right? What's wrong with that?
Yeah. I think it's cool, though. I like the reasons. The reasons made sense. The match made sense. It was the better one, if you ask me. And then the ending, to me, is amazing because once again it separates them all, or not them all, but just these two, and it completes the process of destroying PCB and that's great. I like that, and that's what I'm hoping happens to the rest of these groups. Bad and whatever the other one was called, Bellas, whatever. But that was my point. I've been chanting for this to happen for a long time. It's finally going to happen, it looks like. So I was very thrilled with the whole Charlotte decision, and of course, using the whole Flair-isms of hey, cheating to win. I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah, the only thing I have a problem with is it's still like, bitches be crazy, y'all. Bitches be crazy. Like we don't know what we're doing. Just if you wanted to turn Charlotte heel, why are you feeding her with another heel? Or was that just a one-time thing because Rick was there? Or I don't know.
I don't know, but that's my largest problem with this. There's sort of like, I'm fine with the teams breaking up. I want that to happen, but we're seemingly just doing things to see what sticks, no matter where we're at. And it seemed like the Divas division for a short period of time had a direction, and now we're back to, well, we're just going to throw something at the wall, and when it sticks, we'll stick with that, And it doesn't feel like creative is not being creative. They're being random, and that's not what I want to see for 3 hours on a Monday night,
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind Team Bad staying together, but like, just how unnecessary does Alicia Fox and Brie Bella look without Nikki there? Just
I agree totally with that. I mean, to me, it was just kind of like lost in translation. And they were so trying to force, like, people were cheering for Sasha more than Brie. Like, just let it happen. Like, why do you have to force it? I don't. Yeah. Whatever. Yeah. So it was what it was. I mean, we get a little progression here, but I could see where people have problems. But for me, for the most part, it was not the worst of the show. But I mean, I just got to know. I mean, what are you thinking about this whole Adam Rose situation, Paul? I mean, this is not what we expected of him doing. The whole gossip thing.
I'm kind of meh, I guess.
Yeah, it is. Whatever it is. I mean, it can't be as bad as Titus O'Neil just appearing randomly in Stardust promos.
Happy holidays. I like that. Yeah. No, I could see that, but I mean, I just figured that you'd be a little bit more upset. Like, okay, what's the purpose? Because that's the way I kind of felt. What's the purpose? This gimmick is how is this going to translate to the ring and whatever else he's doing?
I mean, I totally get you. I'm still weeping over beef mode. Like,
yeah. You haven't got past that grieving process.
Yeah, like, I mean, I'm over here wearing black for beef mode, and they're like, "Hey, he's a gossip now." I'm like, dudes, come on.
You don't let him stay in one thing at all.
Disappointing. So.
Oh man.
Well.
Yeah, and then of course you have to end the show with a 7-on-4 tag because,
creative.
And then you have Dean Ambrose get beat too, so that's even worse. So I just want to know, was this a dumpster fire, like Larry put it on 401, or was it not that? Yeah. Not as bad as that.
And I'm curious what Paul's going to say about it, but for me personally, I was not a fan of a lot of the show. I had problems with quite a bit. But at the same time, I was kind of shocked the way people were just totally dumping on this Raw. I mean, yeah, it wasn't great all the way through, and I'm just, kind of sick of some of it. But to me, a dumpster fire, that's kind of going a little bit extreme because some of this I could tolerate, and I consider a dumpster fire being like a show I can't tolerate at all.
I've never seen him give a show a 2 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think he even gave, like Triple Mania wasn't even a 2 out of 10. So...
What do you think, Paul?
I'm giving this a 3 overall, personally. And really all 3 points, I think, come from the main event storyline. Because that was really, I think, the only thing that made consistent sense the whole evening. Everything else was just flinging darts at walls, and if something worked, great, and if something didn't, oh well. It's very, very messy 3 hours that cards on the table, I didn't even watch all of.
And a lot of it,
Yeah.
a lot of it didn't even matter.
Yeah.
You know, and not only that, but it's just like I didn't necessarily care too much for we're gonna end it. We're not even gonna have a finish in the title match thing. It's just I hate it when they do stuff like that.
Yeah. That's kind of why I think a 4 for me. I like I said, there was a few things I didn't mind. But I mean, the biggest problem for me is New Day being. It makes me worry they're going to get overexposed. They're just in so much of the show, and they're in a main event.
States that they go in, and like nobody cares.
Yeah, that's true. But but they're in a main event here that nobody cares, and not only that, it makes no sense. They just have no reason or any really purpose in being in that match. So that's a big deal to me. So I don't know. A 4 is where I stand. So
I'm gonna go in the middle, say 3.5. I like the Sasha Banks stuff. Tag team stuff is actually going pretty well, and then everything else is just kind of like Paul said. I mean, you got main event that's sort of making sense, but a lot of it was just like, all right.
Yeah.
Well, we're on Raw, and we don't know what to do with 3 hours, so I don't think they even didn't even know what to do with 1 hour. So
I think that's true, Sean. I think it really is, and it's a good point. So, well guys,
before we get out of here, somebody's gonna call here in a second. So
okay.
I just didn't want to start the survey and who's gonna call.
Oh. Okay. Well, if he gives us a call quickly, we'll do that because we can't postpone too long. But we just want to let everybody know we are going to do a segment here, and it is going to be about the WBE sending out a questionnaire to their fan council and trying to get an idea of what they like about Raw, what their Raw habits are, and basically just kind of digging in deep and trying to really get into people's minds and their situations as they watch Raw. It's simply because of the ratings. I mean, we've seen the ratings go way down, the lowest that they've had in years. I think 97 was one of the biggest points that they can point to as the lowest of lows, and they've reached those kind of levels. So we really do want to kind of talk about some of these things and, kind of get into this questionnaire. All of us kind of have it in front of us. We're not going to go over all of them. It's way too much to go over. Trust me. I would love to. So we'll do that. But we do have someone calling in. And so welcome to Wrestling to the Max. What's up?
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Hey, pretty good, Brandon. What's going on with you, man?
Yeah, pretty good. I wasn't able to talk to you guys last week. But let me just say about last week real quick. Can we please get more New Day things like what they did last week with their little improv self-censorship there? That was great.
Oh man,
that was probably the best. That was the best moment on Raw in like at least a couple of years, probably.
I'm surprised nobody brought the name.
Yeah, the yippee-ki-yay, mother.
Yeah.
Wait, you can't say that.
Oh, that's true. So, yeah, I mean, it's really interesting. But no, I mean, Brandon, you're calling in here. Give us your thoughts. I mean, we've heard people just really tear this Raw apart. Kind of give us your rundown on what you thought.
I actually didn't mind it as much as a lot of people did. I mean, there were some good moments. There were some fun moments, as I said on Facebook on the post. While it's going to be a hard road and a long road for them to do it, them putting Sheamus with the New Day, putting him with some of the guys that are a little more over with the crowd than he is, may help him in getting a little bit more over with the fans than he is currently, which could help his title reign if they do decide to stick with him for a longer period of time than, just a month or two. And the only thing about the League of Nations I would change is putting I would put Kevin Owens in there. Maybe substitute substitute him in for Rusev since they would feud directly with Dean Ambrose in the Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose, Jimmy and Jay grouping.
Yeah, but then it wouldn't be the League of Nations, and it'd be like
Yes, it
NATO
would.
Nations or something.
He is technically Canadian.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's not from over there.
French
like
Canadian.
But neither is Del Rio. Neither is Del Rio.
That's true. That's true.
So, I mean, you primarily got Europeans. It's not the European Union or anything. If they called it the European Union, then I would agree with you. But it's the League of Nations. They can do it as long as they're a foreign-born superstar. So,
I think you run into trouble when you start putting Owens in there because that's somebody they actually like. And
that's
then,
true.
You know, like those four guys are guys you can't really stand. So
but that would be able to help the group as a whole get over much quicker than it would if you just put guys that are basically, you know, leftovers that the fans don't like.
Well, but you've established those three as a team already. So
that's true.
That's why I would have said if you want to take out Del Rio and put Owens, kind of okay, because he's a much better heel, and he, you know, he's just a heel period. Like whereas Del Rio's just there. So
yeah,
you know, they're really gonna have to do a whole. I mean, the thing is, you can make Del Rio do something where it won't take a lot of people to boo him already, whereas. You know, Owens gets booed, but it's one of those boos where I think people just don't really want to. They just do it because he's so good at it, you know.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I like the fact that Ambrose has somebody that's not in that group anyway against him directly, you know, because then when you have all those stupid... Because we don't know how long this can go on. And if that... For one, if that team's going to be named the Family, that's so dumb. Like, you already have the Wyatt family.
Wyatt
Why
family,
don't we have another team called the Family? Like,
what, are they now going to is that going to be the Wyatt family's next feud that's going to be another bust for them?
No, I'm talking about the Reigns, Ambrose, and Usos thing is supposed to be called the Family.
Oh, no, I understand that, but, like... You could set up a whole thing of like, oh no, like especially with how WWE writing is now, it would be like, oh, we're the true family, no, we're the true family, yada yada yada, and they'd be feuding again. Yeah, you could see it, couldn't you?
No, because those two already feuded with Wyatt.
Oh, I know that, but knowing how bad WWE Creative is now, you could see it.
That'd just be like Orton and Sheamus, you know, they just repeat it over and
exactly.
over again. Yeah,
exactly. Just keep on doing the same feud over and over again. In terms of the other things, the whole Dudley Boys against Wyatt family. First off, I love seeing Tommy Dreamer back again. Although I wish he would still use Alice in Chains Man in the Box as his entrance. But I fear that this is another feud that, you know, in order to move ahead, the Wyatts should be winning, but this is just another feud that it seems like the Wyatts are basically just, they're fodder for old-timer guys to come back just to get a big pop out of the crowd, and the old time guys win just because they don't want the fans, like, you know, I don't even know why, but they don't want to move forward. They want to keep the fans dwelling on the past instead of focus on the future. So, you know, the Wyatts never move forward, and the more and more feuds they lose, the more and more their whole characters just dissolve in front of us.
True.
Mm-hmm. That is true.
So, I mean, I don't know what they're gonna have to do something with the Wyatts at some point, because, you know, I don't know what you can do with them. If you're not allowing them to win, then their whole character profile is is nothing.
Well, it would. It's just you don't care about seeing him.
Yeah, they're not threatening. There's no reason to be
Exactly.
afraid of them. Yes.
Exactly. I mean, think about it. Think about if The Undertaker did the same thing, like had the same character as he did, but back when he first came up, instead of being able to win like he was, they have him lose all the time. How quickly would he have just fallen into mediocrity and
I mean, he won the title off of Hogan, for God's sakes.
What?
He won the title off Hogan. That's how bad they wanted to make sure he got over.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Back then they knew, okay, this character needs to win in order to have that aura surrounding him. And now they don't think that way. They don't think in terms of how is this going to affect someone's character. Instead, they're like, oh, we can't put him over these guys. And that's the problem. I'm trying to think what else. Oh, one thing that I didn't understand, and they should have made a bigger deal out of this, especially considering, I think if I remember correctly, did Reigns and Ambrose and the Usos win the main event?
No, the heels won the main event.
Oh, they did, okay. But, I mean, they should have kept with the storyline that they had from the beginning, at least for a bit, and maybe have like the heels win by a disqualification or something, and like build up this idea of them potentially losing the title shots, because that was actually like that sounded like an interesting concept. And one thing that I really think that they need to do, which would help the company progress and would help in being able to do more storylines and being able to do more things, which is something they did back in the Attitude Era during the time of the corporation, is they need to get either like they need to bring back either a commissioner or a general manager or something to counteract the heels of the Authority.
Then you could have Daniel Bryan play that role.
Exactly. You could have Daniel Bryan. Basically, exactly. You could have what happened with Shawn Michaels back in '99 when he was injured and out for a year. What, like 2 or 3 years, something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And they rebranded him. They put him as the commissioner, and he was the face commissioner that offset the heel corporation.
Well, he wasn't always the face commissioner.
He wasn't always, but I mean, one of the big iconic moments that I remember that, you know, in today's WWE with the Authority, you can't like do is in a situation like back when Bryan first won the title with Triple H as the special guest referee. You know, remember back at WrestleMania 15, you know, McMahon was going to put himself as the special guest referee, basically ensuring that Austin wasn't going to win. And then Shawn Michaels comes out and says, no, you don't have that right. That's my job. And, you know, you could do that and have that whole dynamic between, like, who has more power, and that could kind of offset things and allow you to do more things where the Authority tries to screw over people, tries to take things away, but then the commissioner says, no, we're keeping it this way.
Okay.
True.
Yeah, I could see that. You know, and I think it could work. I mean, that's a good thought.
Definitely work.
So.
But yeah, I mean, besides that, I mean, there wasn't. I'm trying to think what else. There wasn't really all that much else that happened. I mean, other than those three segments, there wasn't really all that much. You know, it'll be interesting to see how things progress, but I mean, I just hope that they start building more storylines instead of what it is now, where it's just oh, we're going to have a match, we're going to have another match, and there really isn't any progression to what's going on.
Definitely. I agree with that, and I think all of us do. And we'll have to see. I mean, we can only hope that they'll have a better Raw next week. We'll hope that they can get some things going in a better direction. It sounds like to me, TLC, the card-wise, already sounds better just by the card itself. So I think they at least have some potential. Let's see if they match that potential. So.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And the one thing I will say about, I know you guys were talking about it earlier with the falling ratings and all of that, and I mentioned it on the group when you guys posted it the other day, is even now when you don't have a direct competition with anything really, their strive should be, especially on a week like this, where, I'm not saying half-ass it when it's a good game because you're going to lose, but especially when it's a mediocre game where you're going to get some fans that are either just going to, you're going to get some extra fans that are going to tune in just because they don't really have a vying interest in the game to begin with. But also then, if it's a blowout, you'll have people trying to figure out, okay, what do I watch now? On a week like that, you need to be going all out and pulling out all the stops in order to win. And they can. They've done it in the past, and they should be focused on that, and they should be thinking on a more competitive level. I mean, we've mentioned it before. The main reason why they aren't as good as they used to be is because they don't have that, the creative and the company as a whole doesn't have that competitive drive. They're kind of just gliding because they think, oh, we're on our own in terms of the wrestling business. We'll get people to watch anyway. But if you really want to succeed and you want the good ratings and you do still care about ratings, then you're going to need to have that competitive instinct.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally. You need more in your core audience because your core audience will get you so far, but
exactly
more people. So.
Well, no. I won't. No, I think this is what you were trying to say, but I'd say it's the reverse. Your secondary, your modern audience will only get you so far. It's that core audience that you built in the 80s and 90s that watch and want a good program to watch and will and have other options and will determine whether they'll watch football or Raw based on your programming that is going to determine whether you're winning or not.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, yeah, definitely. So, lots of great stuff, Brandon, man. We really appreciate you giving us your thoughts and everything about Raw, and we'll hopefully hear from you soon.
Yep, and yeah, I'll talk to you guys next week.
All right, man. Talk to you then. Later.
Yep, see ya.
All right. I always enjoy Brandon Biscoe Bean calling in and giving his thoughts on Raw, but now it is time for us to kind of get into this whole fan council questionnaire. And there's quite a few things on here, like I said, so we're not going to jump into every single thing. All of us have it in front of us. We're all going to kind of look at these questions. I'll kind of throw out a few, and of course, if these guys have anything that they really want to kind of throw out, we're all just going to kind of have a little discussion here. There's things on this list like, what kind of streaming services do you use, and how do you watch Raw, and different things like that. But the one thing that I kind of found that's kind of at the top of this list that is kind of interesting is, what is your habits from the old way that you used to watch Raw compared to now? Now, that's the one I kind of look at, and what do you guys say about that?
I mean, personally, I bowl a league on Monday night now, so I don't watch live anymore. But, before that, I've been watching Raw steadily since I was 6. So I've seen it from 1 hour to 2 hours to what it is today, and I've personally watched whole episodes every Monday. But now, I think with the way TV's changing, I think it's a great question to ask everybody else, because a lot of people trying to cut the cord, a lot of people trying to find ways to save as much money as possible, and cable subscription isn't necessary anymore with Netflix and all this other stuff sort of taking over. So I think it's a great question to ask, and especially if you're still a channel flipper now. Like, this would have been a good question to ask during the Monday Night War.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oops, sorry.
I completely agree with that, and that's kind of why I asked it, because I think that's one of the ones that I think a lot of people would answer kind of like you did, Paul. Me personally, I don't watch Raw live. Of course, I have a sports podcast I do with Sean, and I'm kind of obligated to watch the Monday Night Football game, and so that takes my viewing away. But I'll be honest with you, even if me and Sean didn't do a sports podcast, even if I didn't do a wrestling podcast, I would probably choose the football game over the product right now. It's just because of what it is. But not only that, you've got to keep me synced into what you're doing. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting. I don't know about you, Sean. I mean, you also have to watch the Monday night game, so I guess that kind of takes you out of that question too.
I mean, it's just, and like next week, I'll be doing the Rabble, so I can't change the channel at all. But, just, to me, it's one of those things where Raw is, the questions they ask is just really funny. Like, do you watch Monday Night Football? Well, I mean, yes, and I think some of the questions they ask are valid. Like, does anybody else in your house watch it with you? Mm-hmm. Do you see advertisements for Raw ever? How many hours do you tend to watch a week? Do you watch it all at once? Do you watch it in chunks? Like, that's stuff that they need to know. Like, it's important because with this thing, which, Gary and I talked about last week, of the whole, like, there's networks now that do not pay attention at all to those ratings. And WWE they said it themselves in their last financial thing that they're not going to either. Or they're not going to pay attention to it as much as they used to, because they know it's not as important as it used to be. Mm-hmm. And it's true. I mean, how many people sit there and, for one, we don't know who the hell a Nielsen household is, and those things are so outdated. Like, mm-hmm. That's why they have in every little box now, every cable box, every satellite box, every DVR, they have a way to track that, because it gives you a better understanding of how many fans you actually have, how many viewers you actually have. Like, a Nielsen household is one per every, like, how many people, and everybody has different viewing habits, and who the hell sits around the house all day and just watches TV? Like, old people and kids. Mm-hmm. That don't go to school, like the teenagers that maybe don't go to school, or like college kids or something like that. Like, most people don't have the ability to sit around and just watch TV anymore.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so you're watching stuff on DVR, like the questions about, do you fast forward through Raw? Well, yeah. Whoever doesn't fast, so I mean, whether you're just only cutting out the commercials or whatever, but. Just some of the questions are kind of common sense at this point.
Exactly, and you're totally right. And like I said, there's only a few on this list that I'm just like really intrigued by. And like they'll ask, who in your household watches Raw with you, and that's intriguing because it does bring up the fact of what gender in your household watches. Is it male, female, is just male, is just female, things like that. And they also ask the question, do you look and see who's going to be on Raw before you watch it?
Who the hell does? I honestly want to know, unless you're going to the show itself, who the hell does that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but do they really give you enough information? I've only seen through advertisements locally.
If you watch the pre-show sometimes.
So yeah, I've honestly forgot they had a pre-show till recently, to be honest with you.
I don't know if they still do the 5-point preview on WWE.com, but
yeah, they do.
I used to use that when I was a lot younger.
Yeah. I mean, see, and there you go. I guess, Paul, that would help them right there, because, when you were younger, you really cared about, hey, is Austin going to be on, or is he off tonight? Or, is Kurt Angle going to be continuing his feud? All that kind of stuff. So, that does kind of help them right there, you know.
The 5-point preview also used to tell you if matches, you know, they have pre-scheduled matches that they would announce on there.
Yeah, see, now they don't ever do
They
that.
don't even do that anymore.
Wow.
Like, now they might tell you one match, and that's it. You know, and it might be on the pre-show 30 minutes before, and you're like, oh, well, that would have been good to know, you know, if I knew that a week before or something, you know, just, you know, and if you don't watch TV, how are you going to watch advertisements for Raw or SmackDown or whatever, you know, just, but I do think it's interesting, like, the questions they ask here at the end, they would have never asked these questions in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they are acknowledging that people are smarter about wrestling now. Like, the whole, like, here's these segments that we know we have every week. Or here's these things that are obviously vital to our show. What do you think of them? Do we spend too much time on them? Do we spend not enough time on them? Like, that's the kind of things that I think they should have asked a long time ago. Not wait till now. Like, you know, matches that don't affect storylines. That's one right there for me. I don't want to watch matches that don't affect storylines. Like, you know, because you don't make them a storyline. You don't give them a storyline for me to care about. You know, like, no, I don't need to watch recaps of previous episodes. I can find other ways to watch that. You know, just, I mean, I don't know how, for you guys, like, which ones there stand out for you that you're like, I could just do without those.
I mean, segment-wise, I don't think I don't have a problem with the segments they give us. I have a problem with how they treat the segments. So, you know, like, I think matches. I think they do a fantastic job wrestling-wise right now. I think the WWE may be the best ever in their entire existence. But, you know, like, you know, so, you know, the way they write interviews now is a problem. Sometimes, you know, just the writing for segments and interviews isn't as quality as it used to be, and that's something we've been complaining about for a long time. But I don't think it's the segments I have a problem with. It's their quality.
Right.
And that's a thing that they kind of ask about. Like, they ask, you know, since SummerSlam, you know, how would you rate whatever on this certain metric? And that's really cool. But I don't know if you get enough from just asking about that on a 1 to, I think it's 1 to 5 is what they usually use.
I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, knowing whether it's entertaining from start to finish, I think that's pretty vague enough you can, but some of the other ones, I think that would require more of a written response, and not necessarily a multiple choice response. But, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there's so much on here, and a lot of this is common sense, and it is interesting, you know, to come about it and kind of think about it. You know, they ask, you know, what, you know, segments do you think is too long or too short or just right? You know, they really get in depth with it. That's why we're not reading every single thing on this.
But I think that's good, though. Like, they need to get that in depth with it.
Oh, no, I
agree. At least shows that they understand that perhaps there's a problem here.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I think them even doing this in general, like you said, they would have never done this before, but now, like, either things are getting this bad or they've realized that they have a problem on their hands, and this is like an unheard of step forward for them almost, and I think it also speaks to sort of, you know, how bad a situation they themselves think they're in, but like, this is a really, really neat idea that is unheard of. Like, WWE's never asked us how the hell we feel about anything.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like, for them even to say, okay, well, if you knew something about an hour before, and they list a bunch of things, like, you know, if it was a specialty match, if they told us a lot about the match, or if it's a championship match or whatever, how many of those things would make you want to watch more? Like, you know, that's a valid thing to ask, you know, because, again, it makes you think about, it also makes you think about things that perhaps you never think about when you watch Raw.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so
definitely. Once again, I mean, it gives people the opportunity to give some good feedback, and they need it. And we're joking about it, but I mean, their egos have been pretty strong and stout, and not really been concerned about what the public wants. Just about, hey, what can we do that we think is right? Now they're understanding that, hey, maybe the public can help us because we're obviously losing them. So
I wish they would include in there. Would you like to see the opening segment of Raw where we talk a lot go away? Yes. Can we hit like a yes button for that? Because that'd be great.
Yeah.
maybe not just be so formulaic with your opener. Like, I'd crap myself if they opened with a match. I really would.
Right.
Oh man. What I will say is, if they send this questionnaire, if they were ever sending my way, I would just say, they say, how do you want me to open the show? I'd say, you know what? More Dixieland.
Oh, of course.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Of course.
They're like, what the heck is this guy talking about? So yeah, but no, I mean, in all seriousness, this is great. It's interesting. I'm kind of curious to see if it does affect anything in the future. I don't know. That's yet to be seen. Hopefully they do take some suggestions and run with them. But we don't know if that's going to happen or not. So, but this is just interesting. We wanted to put this out there for everybody to kind of hear about. And of course, if you want to go check it out, you can find this online, the whole questionnaire. I believe it's on our page. Go check it out on our page and, read it all and kind of see what you would want to say and maybe get an idea of what they're asking. So, but guys, it is time for us to do some talk about NXT. Yeah, that's right. Developmental have, a lot of things going on over there, and let's head over to Full Sail to talk about it.
Hold on.
WWE Developmental NXT.
Sorry, I have to actually sit there and watch the thing when it goes down because I don't have a slider. So, excuse me for not being like so on point with it. The app being in a different window instead of being in a different tab is kind of a little annoying, but.
Yeah, it takes some time getting used to. We got a new system. We didn't let anybody know, but we do have a new system we're working with. It's a better system. Hopefully you're getting better audio quality tonight. That's our goal. And so Sean's trying to work with it. As the producer of this show, he's having to get used to the new equipment. So.
Yeah, so we start out with Baron Corbin versus Ty Dillinger. And, of course, the crowd loving that the 10 deal, perfect 10, everything. And then, so I love the Graves when Tide hits the super kick or whatever, and Graves is like, it's a 7 at its best. It's awesome. But you knew what was going to happen here. End of days, and Baron Corbin is going to win eventually. So. Hey, at least he was wrestling somebody who was on the roster, right?
Yeah, and he actually put up a good fight against Corbin, which I expected. The perfect 10 thing. He's getting a little bit of a push here, so I'm glad to see that. But Baron Corbin is also one of the top guys when it comes to NXT, so no surprise.
Yeah, I mean Ty's as mid-card as it can get in NXT right now too. So
yeah, for sure.
But I mean, do you have a problem with the outcome of this match though, Paul? Because I was kind of curious. I know that a lot of people think that he should have got a maybe a win here.
I don't like. I think Baron Corbin's in a tricky place right now because they don't want to pull the trigger and put him up in the title feud yet, but they also want to keep him near the top, and they're kind of. I don't want to say the top of the card's in flux, but a lot of things are, NXT's constantly, I feel like, moving around, and that's one of the reasons why it always feels like so fresh to watch, because they're always doing something different, and that's kind of neat. But I mean, Ty Dillinger's not up at that level yet.
Right. Agree with you there. Are you guys ready for a 3 p.m. Eastern Takeover London? Because that's when we'll be watching
Wow.
that Takeover, in which all of us will be at work or about to go to work. So I don't know. Thankfully, we do the show on Thursdays.
Yes, don't expect a live rabble, people. Sorry, not happening.
I don't think we're going to do those anymore for the wrestling. It's too difficult. But
It is.
don't expect a show that night either, because I'm not getting home at 12 and then watching the thing and us starting a show at 3 in the morning. Not happening. But either way, we do find out that Samoa Joe's going to wrestle Tommaso Ciampa after Apollo Crews cuts a promo about not being worried about Finn Balor's health. He just wants to rip Baron Corbin in half, which was fine. I thought Ciampa getting some promo time was cool here. We normally don't. We've seen like them get to talk a little bit during the tag title thing or the tag tournament, whatever. But I don't think we've really heard Ciampa that much. So that's cool that he got to be interviewed since he knows Joe and all that. Makes sense. And we got Nia Jax squash of Blue Pants. So, what do you guys think here?
Yeah, I mean, Ciampa promo. I think Ciampa, he's probably signed by now. I haven't seen him show up anywhere else. So I would go out on the limb and say just go ahead and count him on that NXT roster. And I'm slowly coming around to Nia Jax. I think she's got something there. I don't know if it's a whole lot, but there is something there that's worth exploring for sure.
You know, I'll just kind of talk about the Tommaso Ciampa thing real quick. I'm a big fan of his already. I've been a fan of his with the Ring of Honor and a few of the other places I've seen him. And so I'm a little bit biased, but I mean, I thought he did a great job in the promo. I think that he's definitely got, some places to improve. But let me just say it this way: his potential is a lot higher than some of the other people on NXT we've seen. So I'm excited about him. I really am. His level in the ring to me is great. Everything about him is a chance to see a great guy develop and to be a bigger star. Nia Jax, I'm right there with you, Paul. I have grown to really just kind of understand her a little bit more and to kind of get behind her. And I'll say it this way. I think it was perfect when we saw her in this episode, and the fact that she didn't have to say a word, but the expressions on her face, the way she carried herself, it told the story. She didn't have to say anything. Man, that discussion, conversation she had with The Rock, it paid off.
Yeah, I mean, and I've liked her from the beginning. I thought she was always going to be, she obviously impressive as far as her look and everything, but she has a few things to work on. But I just like the way that they've made her dominant, been consistent with it, and she really fits that role well. So, and she has a different, like, she doesn't have, she almost has this like, she could be sweet if she wanted to. She could be just outright like evil if she wanted to. Like, her demeanor can change, and I like that. It's not she's gonna be this one-dimensional character.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm looking at the next IC champ.
let's not go that far.
I can only hope, though.
I don't know. People seem to be. I don't know if they'll ever accept that, even though we've gotten more progressive. People were really pissed about it when China did it, so.
Yeah, I'm agree with you. That's not going to happen, but I just could dream.
Yeah, it's okay to dream. It's fine. Well, speaking of dreaming, that's what Dash and Dawson are saying that Enzo and Cass are going to be doing when they go for their tag title shot, because, they're going to blindside them and make sure they take them out, pretty much. Like, they're going to attack Cass's good knee, even. And these guys, they just get to the point. They don't play around, and I like that.
They don't play around, and they're very aggressive. But Paul, I mean, listen to the promo. You can obviously tell one of these guys is a good talker, and the other one's a so-so.
Absolutely. But I mean, the point came across pretty clear. They're going to murder them. That is what Dash and Dawson do. They murder people.
Oh, and James Storm, you know, as
Murders me.
Oh man.
Hey, he looked better. You know, he lost 20 pounds. I mean, that gut certainly looked a lot thinner on this show. So give him credit. You know, he's working out and doing his thing. Yeah, I mean, he whooped Adam Rose. So.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it is what it is. You know, we kind of expected it, especially when I knew it was him facing Adam Rose. But I mean, I just want to see where they take this guy. I know, you know, he's not going to be going anywhere super high or anything, but I'm just kind of curious. I want to see him in a big feud, and I'm just waiting for that.
Then we have a great promo afterwards with the Vaudevillains and Gable and Jordan with Gable's like, hey, the real winners are the fans because they get to see this match between them. And now Jordan just says the ready, willing, and Gable part. So Gable's like, just thinks that's the best thing ever, which is great. And then we get Sami Zayn. He's coming back, guys. Are you excited?
Absolutely. Sami Zayn is one of the main reasons why you should be watching NXT, just because the guy who wrestled behind the El Generico mask and got over by saying Olay all the time is now getting over on a completely different character, which is just flabbergasting to me.
They still chant Olay, though.
They do.
So.
Well, I mean, just because, you know, he's not that guy anymore doesn't mean he's still, you know, we know that guy. We know that guy well.
You know.
Plus him and Balor in a main event at some day is just, like, if that's not match of the year candidate written all over it, I don't know what is.
Oof, man, that's going to be amazing when they do that. Oh, that'll be cool. You know, I'm excited about Sami Zayn's return. It just says great things are in store for us all. But, you know, the one main thing, and I'm sorry I've said this before, but, you know, I have to be watching NXT when he's on TV. Because if I'm in the other room and I hear that voice, I'm like, did someone change the channel to the news or something? Because Tony Romo's on, not wrestling. Oh, wait, no, that's Sami Zayn. Oh, okay, yeah, sorry. Because I swear, guys, listen to the cadence and the way he talks. He sounds like Tony Romo, just more energetic. So, it's weird.
Gary, you're just missing Tony Romo, aren't you?
No, I'm going to have to one day get interviews and put them side by side, and you guys will have to listen to them. Oh, you kind of can see them.
Right. It's okay to admit that you're homo for Romo.
Hi, I'm a Romosexual. Leave me alone.
Okay. Now that we've cleared that up. So, hey, this Gable and Jordan do not disappoint again with tag matches against, I guess, the veterans at this point, the Vaudevillains. I thought this one went along great, and you have Chad Gable and Jason Jordan winning here, as you'd expect.
Yeah, I mean, and I think a tag division that was really kind of on its legs earlier this year has sort of found itself through a bit of luck. Gable and Jordan hit, and then the Vaudevillains kind of hit, and now you got Dash and Dawson hitting, and you have, of course, Enzo and Cass, who have been The Rock for a long time. It's kind of just interesting how this little twist of fate with these two or three teams has suddenly made this division leap out as one of the reasons to watch NXT now. Especially these two. Chad Gable and Jordan are just amazing to watch.
It just makes it hard on you because I like both these teams. I like the Vaudevillains, and I'm, you know, becoming a big fan of, you know, Chad Gable. So, I mean, I don't know. It's tough for me because Jordan and Gable both are just so great together, and you know, get a chance to get excited about these young guys. But you look at the Vaudevillains and how stable they've been, and you don't know who to root for almost, at least me personally.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. It's just, this tag division is great. I mean, you know, just Gable and Jordan don't do anything like just over the top or whatever. It's simple, but it's effective and it works for them. And the crowd eats it up, you know. And the Vaudevillains, they know their characters are so good. Just that's the thing. Everybody seems to understand who they are and what they bring to the table, and they all execute it very well. And that's what makes those teams great to me. Then you get Emma and Dana Brooke doing their thing. Basically, Dana kind of tries to get in Emma's way, and Emma's like, hey, this is my time, basically. You know, you need to sit back here and cool off while I have this match with Liv Morgan. And basically, she just beats up Liv Morgan. I love the fact that they're going with this Emma being aggressive thing. Just fantastic stuff. She's been on it with this.
Yeah, I mean, Emma, this is the most entertaining she's been, no matter where you look at her, whether it's, you know, Miss Tenille and Shimmer or Emma Face, or I mean, like this heel role is just made for her, tailor-made. Like, this is amazing.
It is, and you know, it's so fun to kind of see this transformation that has happened over time, and to see how Emma has changed, and she fits this role fine. You know, at first I was really questioning it. I thought to myself, how can they get someone who's obviously a face to be a heel? And yeah, no, it's working, and she's doing a great job at it.
Well, speaking of doing a great job, Bayley's doing a great job of being women's champion, and she pretty much, other than, I mean, Asuka came out during this to basically, she says, see you in London, and you know, the fans are happy to tell Emma that Asuka's going to kill her, so.
Truer words were never spoken.
Exactly. Either way, I mean, Bayley and Nia Jax seems to be happening here. I'm all for that. It's the perfect David Goliath, or however terms you want to put it in. You know, a underdog against someone that's much bigger than her. You know, or you'd expect to win or whatever. Just I think that's why you have Bayley as champion. She's got so many people she can go against. So it's cool. And then you get Joe and Ciampa at the end here, and this was a pretty good little match here. They didn't get a whole lot of time, but since they know each other, they got out some of the things that we're used to seeing from them, and then some good stuff very end.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it was purposeful for them to bring up Nia now, but like Bayley, arguably the most over she's ever been. Nia Jax, the big badass Goliath on the block, and like they could get some mileage out of this feud, because Nia obviously could just beat the bejesus out of Bayley, get the DQ, or Bayley gets the DQ at London, and you know, put some heat on Nia. But there's a lot of mileage out of that feud, I think. Joe and Ciampa just beat the crap out of each other for 7 minutes, and I'm pretty sure it was short, because if they went any longer, they would have murdered each other. Two dead guys in the ring.
Yeah, you wouldn't be watching NXT anymore. You'd be watching CSI. So
yes. Yeah.
What happened here? I don't know, but it looks like one took with forearm to this chest. Anyway. I think this is great. You know, the whole Nia Jax thing. We kind of discussed. I kind of said my piece a little bit earlier, but yeah, and Paul had it right. Bayley's over, and it's going to be awesome to see what they do together. But yeah, this main event, a blast to watch. I loved it. I mean, I'm a big Tommaso Ciampa fan, so and of course I'm going to love anything he's in. But him and Joe work well together. It's obvious that they've done things together and they've had great matches. So you know, solid all the way around.
True. Sorry.
So.
That's it.
That's NXT for you guys, and you know, we'll have to see. You know, next week we get some better stuff coming. It's good. You know, I think it'll just get better. You know, real quick, we've got plenty of other stuff to talk about. Ring of Honor. We'll be talking about some Impact pretty soon here, but I just got to say this. You know, I've been trying my best to keep up with Breaking Ground, and of course, that's all about NXT and the inner workings and I mean, it continuously keeps me glued in. And Nia Jax, the one we just got through talking about, definitely a big part of this past week's episode. We've also had more of the, Jordan and Gable stuff come out, and following some other people that are, involved in this group, including Apollo Crews. So, I mean, Paul, this is exciting to kind of see, as we're watching them on TV, to see them, progress and what they're doing, and you get to know them personally. Do you think it affects you as you watch NXT? To me, it does. It's like I see Nia Jax and what she's doing, and then I kind of think, you know what, I should, give her a little bit more leeway.
The cards on the table. I'm a little behind here on Breaking Ground. The last one I saw was after they finished up the Texas Tour one. And in that, I think
where I'm at, I think.
Yeah, and in that, I mean, you get a nice little snapshot of Jason Jordan and Tyler Breeze interacting, and Tyler Breeze pretty much just owning Jordan by saying, "Hey, man, they're not saying your name out there." After Jordan comes up to give him a hard time, so like,
it's awesome.
It certainly colored me differently on Jason Jordan, because now I look at him like, man, you kind of look like a dick, and you certainly match the personality now.
It's true, and that's what makes me wonder how much people are really going to judge these NXT stars based on what they're doing on NXT television or on Breaking Ground. Adam Rose, I mean, he had supporters coming out of the woodwork after the 30 for 30. Because people saw his real side, who he was, with the journey he kind of had taken to get to WWE, and finding out about his son and the handicap issues and things like that. And people want him to succeed. And there's plenty of other people, on that 30 for 30 that we could talk about kind of the same way. So I think, peeking behind the curtain is fun and great. I'm loving the show, but it also makes me wonder, is it messing up my viewing experience when I'm watching NXT? Is it messing with my mind? Should I not be looking at certain superstars in a certain way because of that show? So, I don't know. That's just me.
I mean, it's a very interesting question because it's asking you to make the difference between this is backstage stuff and this is in ring product. And I mean, when it comes to NXT, I'm pretty sure when you're targeting that fan base, that they can already make that distinction, or they're hoping that that fan base can make that distinction. But I mean, obviously, person to person, what have you. Yeah. But I mean, it's a very fair point to bring up. I mean, do you feel differently about Nia Jax when you watch her on TV now, or?
What's funny is I actually watched this past week's episode before I watched NXT, and I kind of, and I'll say this, and I read a lot too because of the show, and I want to be a little educated, and so I read the Rock's discussion on Twitter, whatever. Anyway, he tweeted out about his discussion with her and the meeting that they had, and kind of talked about her and this and that, and so that made me more interested. Then I watched that, and it made me even more interested. And now I kind of look at her in a different way, whereas I was looking at her before, and I said, it's just another big brawling lady. She's kind of like the next generation of what we see with Awesome Kong and Havoc and people like that. Nothing new, nothing special. It's just going to be the same old gimmick. Now I'm looking and paying attention to the facial reactions, the things that she's doing, the details, because of what The Rock said, Mm-hmm. So I think it brings a new dynamic. I think I appreciate her more now compared to what I would have. Yes. Has it changed me to be more empathetic? That too, and that kind of makes me worry that I'm empathetic because of Breaking Ground, not because of what she's doing in the ring.
I see.
So, I don't know. I think there's a blurred line there at times, but then again, I don't worry about that. I think, like you said, Paul, NXT is NXT. You've got to watch the show for what it is, and I will. I'll enjoy it, even if I'm going to be empathetic for people fired, people getting raises, all that kind of stuff on that show, Breaking Ground. So, just a question I had, and I'm thankful that you guys kind of stopped and kind of had a discussion with me. All right, guys. Well, we have a few other things on this show that we got to do. We are going to do Ring of Honor next, and of course,
well, let's just go ahead and do this. That way, I don't have to play the music or
What do you want to do?
Here's the tag league standings, because next week we will be reviewing the final day of the tag league, the full show that will take place on Wednesday morning. We'll have it for you along with a Survivor Series preview. Or not Survivor Series. Oh my God, I'm still stuck on that too, like WWE on the TLC preview. We'll have a TLC preview with you along with the review of that. So this will be the last time we're really going to tell you anything about this these standings here. AJ Styles is suffering from a hip injury, which at this point he's also with Yujiro last year, so him and Yujiro aren't winning, so whether he comes back or not really doesn't matter. They have a bunch of house shows before they get to Wrestle Kingdom, so if that's when he shows up, that will matter more at this point. So as current as of day 10, which is as of yesterday, they're having day 11 as we speak, or probably in a few minutes or somewhere around there. The standings are Hiroshi Tanahashi and Michael Elgin are first in the A block, tied with Makabe and Honma, and with Okada and Yoshihashi all at 6 points. Then you have Yuji Nagata and Nakanishi and Toru Yano and Sakuraba at 4 points. And then, you also have Christopher Daniels and Frankie Kazarian at 4 points too. And then bringing up the rear, as you'd expect, Bad Luck Fale and Tama Tonga at 2 points. And then the B block, which is the block that AJ is in. So there's been some forfeit wins or whatever that maybe they would have had or maybe they didn't have. But Goto and Shibata have 8 points along with Naito and Evil. And then Tenzan and Kojima have 4 points. Nakamura and Ishii have 4 points. So do Anderson and Gallows. And then AJ and Yujiro have 2 points, along with the Kingdom, who only have 2 points. So that warms my heart that the Kingdom only have 2 points. That's fine. But yeah, so that's your tag league standings. When we talk about it next week, we'll be talking about the final of the tag league, so whoever won will get the title shot at Wrestle Kingdom. And then if there's any cool little matches that they happen to have on that show as well, we'll get to talk about it. So
cool, yeah. So lots of great stuff. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, as it stands right now, Block B is pretty much just down to the last match that actually matters is Naito and Evil taking on Goto and Shibata, who are both at 8, so that'll decide the winner of that block. And Tanahashi and Elgin still have to face Sakuraba and Yano, 2-0 teams. So that's who I imagine is going to be coming out Block A. Would be Tanahashi and Elgin to face Naito and Evil.
Surprise you now that Elgin and Tanahashi are top of that block?
Kind of.
Any other time, Tanahashi has Captain New Japan, he's not even sniffing it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really hoping that this is a build towards something, because if you have Tanahashi Elgin, you're rewarding Elgin for all the hard work he's been doing, and if you have, because I think this is Naito and Evil's tournament to lose, personally, so if you have Naito and Evil in there, hopefully you have Naito pin Tanahashi, and you can put him up in that world title talk.
Ooh,
yeah. Gary's going to be all for that.
That is gold. The best thing New Japan has done. If they do it, Forget anybody else in their history. This is going to be gold. So,
that's a lot. What are you, Kevin Owens now of the New Japan? The history didn't start until Naito.
Exactly. See, you hit the head on the nail. Anyway, well, I guess, everybody needs to stay tuned because we got a lot more New Japan talk next week. Of course, we'll be previewing that big show. So, but anyway, well, it is time for us to go on and talk about some Ring of Honor. And don't forget, after Ring of Honor, we will be covering that TNA Impact episode that you guys are going to want to hear about because more tournament action. So let's go ahead and jump into some Ring of Honor first.
All right. So Ring of Honor opens this week with Adam Page taking on Will Ferrara. And it goes completely different than the way you would expect, because I would assume Adam Page would get the win here, but they go the other way, and Will Ferrara ends up going over Adam Page due to shenanigans mostly. Colby Corino jumps in, overshoots him, and that's how Ferrara ends up nails Page with the crutch that Corino tosses. And we're seeing a lot of things in flux, I think, due to what happened to Corino having to go for the neck surgery and all that stuff. So
yeah, it definitely is in flux. And, it's okay in a way because, there are some things that they can change up and it's still interesting. But it's kind of a bummer because the Corino situation was going to be a lot of fun. Him and BJ Whitmer were going to have a match, and I think it's one that we were all kind of really curious to see. So leaving that out, it is what it is. But in this bout, in general, it's a good opener, I'd say. I enjoyed it for what it was worth. I think both these guys are pretty talented, but I'm sorry. The interception of the crutch was great. I loved it. So not a bad start to the show for me.
I apologize. This Thursday was not only that Thursday night game, but it was also the Game Awards. So I didn't have time to go online and see if I could find the ROH episode. So it will be Gary and Paul talking about this show pretty much here.
Yay! I mean, sorry, Sean.
Yeah. You're left out, man. Go sit.
Hey, the show goes live faster, so.
There you go.
There you go. The Addiction come out next and complain to Kevin Kelly about how they're always getting screwed out of, ROH tag title matches, and Kelly's being biased towards them, and all this other stuff, listing grievances left and right, and pretty much they're trying to get to who this extra guy is that's been sort of messing with them, and pretty much this is them writing the Addiction off, saying, hey, we have all these problems, but we're going over to Japan to do the World Tag League, so we're out. And that's pretty much all that was.
Yeah, they could have said it in that many words and been done with it.
Yeah.
But that's okay. I mean, they're the Addiction, and we love just to hear them talk while their shiny heads gleam. So there you go.
It's very true. We get a video package that goes over Cole turning on Kyle O'Reilly, setting up and selling their feud, because we're in the hard sell towards Final Battle. We're coming up on that pretty fast in a hurry. The date is escaping me at the moment, but it's soon, very soon. Anyways, we continue that. We go to another video package with Cheeseburger and Bob Evans, which I'm sure everybody is just like 20,000% hyped to see again.
Yes.
But there'll be the pre-show on YouTube, so if you got to see you some Cheeseburger, YouTube is the place.
I think the date you were looking for is the 18th.
Yes.
Which is 2 weeks from today.
Yeah, so, man, we'll have another preview in a week after this next week. So that's awesome. And the Cheeseburger thing is great. I mean, anytime you can have him a part of this, it's wonderful. So he fulfills all the hunger.
Gary, he's going to be totally fine. You have some Cheeseburger.
Yeah. Cheeseburger always fills my wrestling hunger. So.
God.
I'm sure you won't be alone on YouTube. I'm sure Chris Jericho will be watching with you too, bud. So.
Hey, I'm sold. I can't wait till he's on the podcast.
Yeah, and then, Liger will find a way to watch it too,
Of course. Next up, we have AJ Styles and Jay Lethal going face to face. So that is your main event for Final Battle. Pretty solid delivery here, I think, from everybody involved.
Is it me or like Taylor Hendricks get hotter all of a sudden? like all of a sudden since we saw her at that Field of Honor show or whatever, it's like, wow, it's just something different about Taylor Hendricks since we saw her in TNA those days. So
Yeah.
just thought I'd note that.
No, you know what? It's funny you say that because I was making a comparison in my head to somebody else with a similar look, and I don't remember who it is now. And I thought this is kind of similar lines with you, Sean. So I could agree with that. So I have to think about who that was now that I was
Sorry
debating.
that I got us off the.
No. It's a solid point. I'm glad you brought it up because that was in my head as I watched that. So. But no, solid delivery with Lethal, of course. He did a great job. AJ Styles, I liked what they did here. This is a new perspective when I'm watching Lethal because, Lethal usually talks down to everyone. And in this sense, it's almost like he has that mutual respect for AJ Styles that you kind of get weirded out by because he's willing to shake his hand. He says he learned from AJ, all this different stuff, and you're like, wow, you never hear this from Lethal. So I did enjoy it because of that. I think if it had been the same old same, not so much, but because there was a different dynamic towards the respect part, I did enjoy it.
I agree. It's a very interesting new side for Lethal to show. And we've seen him do the respect thing before, sort of with Jay Briscoe. But, obviously AJ Styles is almost this larger than life superstar in Ring of Honor now, with the IWGP title and all that other stuff that he has on his resume now. And, even if you're a big, long-time Ring of Honor fan too, Lethal obviously was paired up with Joe back in 2005. And Styles, unfortunately, was already gone by that point with TNA breaking their relationship with Ring of Honor. So there's some history to play off of here too if they decide to go that way in the remaining weeks towards Final Battle. But the hype train does not stop there because Adam Cole is back with more story time to tell you that he hates Kyle O'Reilly. He's just 20,000% heel mode, talking bad about Riley and just being amazing at it. Like, if he has a reel putting together, shipping it to WWE, it's just these story time segments that he's been doing.
Mm-hmm. It has been, and it's so funny. I mean, because he's good at it, and I think that's why they have him do it. But it is funny that week in and week out, him doing this kind of stuff. It's something I didn't really think they were going to do all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been a welcome addition to Ring of Honor every week, though.
Mm-hmm.
I'm certainly not going to complain about it either because I'm so in love with Adam Cole and I don't have a problem saying that.
I can't wait to see your Adam Cole tattoo, baby.
Absolutely, yeah. It's going somewhere. So we get into our next match. Dalton Castle's taking on Adam Cole. Pretty much breaks down into a big brawl. With the rest of the Kingdom coming in to attack Dalton Castle. There's Silas Young run in with the boys too, and War Machine comes out to make the save eventually to work this into a 6-man tag. So we have the entire Kingdom, Adam Cole, Michael Bennett, and Matt Taven taking on Dalton Castle and War Machine in a 6-man. Somewhere Teddy Long is smiling, of course, because tag team match, and it ends up with Cole pinning Dalton Castle in the end after the Kingdom pretty much murder him. Double super kick into his brainbuster neck breaker combo that he's been using a lot recently.
Not a bad match overall. I'll be honest with you, I was enjoying the Castle and Cole part of it more. Of course, both those guys are so talented. I mean, how can you not enjoy that? But I get why the rest of it came about, why it became the tag match and all. And so it was not terrible. It was pretty good, if you ask me. But once again, if they just would have kept it between the two, I'd been a lot more happier, just to be honest with you. But the ending here makes sense, and I did enjoy the Silas Young part because the boys come out and they tease, the whole putting on their mask to be with Castle, and that was a fun tease. I did enjoy that too. So there were some parts of this that were really fun and pretty entertaining match.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, that's the end of your Ring of Honor right there.
All right, guys. Well, now it is going to be time to talk some tournament because Ring of Honor is over and it's time for TNA. They have a tournament going on for their TNA World Heavyweight Championship, and we've been covering it week to week, and you're going to get some more. We're getting close to, rounding this thing out, so we have some pretty big, matches here. We'll be right back with Impact.
TNA Impact Wrestling.
They're lucky. They're lucky I have to wait for that thing to fade out. Yeah, so more tournament stuff with TNA, which I'm sure we all just completely appreciate. EC3 beats DJZ, as you'd expect. Tigre Uno defeats Gail Kim. I thought maybe one of the women would go through, but they don't have either one of them go through here. Davey Richards defeats Bram. Mahabali Shera beat Eli Drake. Matt Hardy beat Bobby Roode. Jesse Goddard beat Awesome Kong. Eric Young defeated Kenny King. And lastly, beat Drew Galloway to move on as well. Any surprises? Anything you thought might go one way and didn't? Or
Does Galloway losing surprise people? Because that's the one thing that I kind of thought. I figured, Galloway. Okay, I get it. Bobby Lashley's a big guy and a big star at TNA, but then again, I thought, man, Galloway, this is kind of his time to shine a little bit. So that's kind of surprising to me. And I'm surprised Gail Kim didn't go through, because I thought if one person did go through towards the end of this thing, it would be Gail Kim. I'm kind of surprised the knockouts are knocked out early.
I think
Eric Young having some experience with, knockouts, titles, and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I think Davey Richards going over Bram, a little bit of an upset, just because Bram, granted, was on an upward slope 2 months ago. Maybe all the extra stuff that's been coming out about him recently has been affecting their booking of him. But, somebody who I thought they had a lot of faith in suddenly not around in the tournament anymore.
Yeah. And, once again, I mean, you get a bunch of matches, which are, pretty decent here. And, the tournament will continue. But, I mean, really overall, like Sean kind of pointed out, I think, earlier, a lot of these are kind of expected. Not a whole lot of just giant surprises out of this. It kind of makes sense towards where they're going. Like I said, the only one that was a bit of a surprise was Galloway, because I really felt like he's, right there in that picture of the world title. So maybe they got other plans for him.
Yeah, a lot of short matches again too, except for outside that main event. Nothing outside of the main event went over 7 minutes. So it's all short little bite-sized matches, which make for some quick viewing, but nothing super intriguing. And I can't, with Matt Hardy being on one side of the bracket and EC3 being on the other, I can't shake the feeling that that's going to be our final, and I'm going to be pissed at the end because I'm going to be wondering what the hell the point of all this was other than to eat time.
You got it. They were eating a lot of time so they can get on over to Pop TV,
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, I
next
have a
week
feeling.
You'll get EC3, Davey Richards, Matt Hardy, and Jesse Goddard. Tigre Uno. That's probably why they didn't have Gail Kim go over, because Matt Hardy, Gail Kim would have been a little weird. Tigre Uno. That would have been Awesome Kong, and that would have been even weirder. Tigre Uno and Eric Young, Mahabali Shera against Lashley. So, not too appetizing as far as, EC3, David Richards might be pretty good. Tigre Uno, Eric Young could be decent, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So,
it's pretty good stuff. So next week we'll, of course, fill you in on what happens from there. But man, it is time to go ahead and do some other things in this show. TNA, once again, not a lot of talking, really just matches. So we, can get through it quick here, I guess, if you want to look at it that way. But we got to crown a superstar of the week, guys. I'm looking forward to this because this is a difficult week, to be honest with all of you. We kind of had a bad Raw to go through, and really just some very kind of average thing. So you are going to be wanting to hear who we crown this week because it is very interesting. So we'll be right back with that.
Superstar of the Week.
All right. Well, we got a crown one, so let's go ahead and go through a list. Paul, who do you got?
All right, number 5 I gave to Emma, who's just been dynamite with her heel work. 3 and 4 I gave to Samoa Joe and Tommaso Ciampa for their main event match on NXT. That was quite good. 2 I gave to Jason Jordan, Chad Gable, really showing us some more great tag team wrestling work in NXT. And then number 1 I gave to Adam Cole, baby. Yeah, it's just, as I said it earlier, I'm in love with the man. I have no problem admitting that. Number 1.
Gotta love it. Hey, at least you're truthful. Sean, who do you got?
Who did I have it? Okay. I know I'm going to put, I'll just out of order here. I don't remember a whole lot. I'll say, I'll give EC3 my number 5. He keeps winning in that thing and keeps being awesome. Number 4, Emma. Number 3, Adam Cole. Number 2, Jordan Gable. And number 1, Ciampa and Joe for the match there.
Oh, wow, Sean just changed it all on us, and I think that will change our Superstar of the Week, actually. Because my number 5 is Tommy Dreamer. Yeah, he didn't do a whole lot. He did what he did, but it's just nice to see him. He gets a spot for that. Number 4 is Nia Jax. I think she did a wonderful job this week, not only in the match, of course, but hey, you know, like I talked about earlier, the facial movements, just the way she presented herself, even when she threw Bayley to that door. She did a great job presenting herself. Number 3 for me is Jordan and Gable. These guys are right. Great match this week with these guys, so you got to love them. Number 2 for me is Dalton Castle and Adam Cole. I was enthralled in this match. I just loved it. I wish it would have stayed between the two of them, but that's how it is. And my number 1 is Tommaso Ciampa, because not only did he cut a great promo, but I think he did a wonderful job with Joe this week. So for me personally, it is Tommaso Ciampa. And because Sean actually has number 1, Tommaso Ciampa and Joe, it looks like Ciampa is our winner this week for Superstar of the Week. And that's kind of a different, because I think earlier I was thinking Cole was going to win this one. So good job. One of my guys won this week, and I'm looking forward to hoping he wins some more of these Superstars of the Week. So, well, man, we have a lot in store for you guys next week. This week was a lot of fun. We had a lot of great things go on. Thank you to Brandon Bisco-Bean for calling in and talking Raw with us. And, of course, anybody else wants to ever call in, it's always available on the page. You'll see our number. And, of course, you can use that number to leave a voicemail. Once again, if you don't remember it, it's 972 591-8620. You can use that number even when we're not on the air to leave voicemails. And if we are on the air, call in and just give us a chat. Tell us what you're thinking. We'd love to hear from you. Also, just to let everybody know, once again, we kind of told you earlier in the show, but just to let you guys know, next week we'll be previewing the Tag League in New Japan. And, of course, we'll be
reviewing the Tag League.
Previewing TLC. So... lots of great stuff though coming your way, and of course, we'll have more on the tournament for TNA, and hopefully some more great stuff out of ROH, and hopefully a really good Raw, because that Raw this past week was not something we like talking about. So, but yeah, Sean, we got other stuff to plug, so why don't you go ahead and do it?
Well, we have our football show, of course. We should be doing the Week 13 preview here in just a little bit, so it should be available, not too long from now. And then, of course, be on the lookout for that co-op multi came out today as well, so you can already go check that out. We made some predictions on the Game Awards. You can go check out, if we were wrong or right about things, and made some predictions about PlayStation Experience happening over the weekend as well. And of course, whatever else has been going on in the news, and talking about lots of games. But between Mark and I, we played lots of games this week, so lots to check out there. And yeah, I think that does it for our podcast at least. Of course, you can go to YouTube and just subscribe to that channel. W2M Network has all the podcasts there if you prefer YouTube. We have a W2M Network on iTunes and Stitcher. I'm still working on all of the other places. Just, man, it's been rough to remember to actually sit there and go do that. And then, of course, you can also go to our Facebook page and like W2M Network. That way you get, every time we go live, right there on any of the podcasts, anytime. I've been being a little slow about posting the writing stuff, but I'll get back to that. And whenever we do the Ravels for the post games or for the actual full games, you can go check those out as well there. I'll be raveling that Steelers-Colts game on Sunday night, as long as my child allows. The family has to go to some wedding that's a friend of the family or whatever that's not a friend of mine, so I don't have to go, just other family. So I probably get stuck with the child alone, and I might end up having to cancel that thing because the way she is, just when we do the games podcast, I can imagine how it's going to be at like 8:30 at night. But then I'll be doing the Monday night one. Should be good. Cowboys-Redskins. That game is always interesting, even if the Cowboys are the record that they're at, because that's what always happens. When you think that they shouldn't beat that team, they wind up doing it. And yeah, go check out Mr. Randall. I don't know if whether he does a podcast on Friday or not. Sometimes he skips those. And of course the Raw Reaction, which I think it's called like DeMarco Wrestling or something is what it's called right now. The YouTube, the iTunes, you have to go search through it on that. So, yeah.
Go check those guys out, though. They're a lot of fun to listen to. And, of course, we always mention them because of the fact that we are on Thursday nights, Friday mornings for you who listen on demand. And so that's a long way away from Monday. So we always encourage you to go listen to the Raw Reaction. They give you everything about Raw right then, right away, and just some great guys. And like Sean just said, Steven Randall, he's on TWNE After Dark. Go check out that podcast too. And so a lot of great stuff to go check out, So, but besides that, guys, like I said, we encourage you to go rate and review our podcast, and we hope that you enjoy this show. And of course, next week will be an even better show. So, and that's what I'm looking forward to. I love to build on each episode, and I think we do it week after week. So, well, guys, we're done here, but we always want you to remember, if you're not living life to the max,
not living life at all.
You know it.
Peace.
Later.